What is ripping? The late night anger management class has begun. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. Ready to bring it. It's the Wicked Wednesday. We'll be with you for the next couple hours. We're talking NFL football. We're talking college football. We're talking CFL football. Wednesday night means it's karaoke night. Babano, a.k.a. Ian Cameron, steps up and joins us this evening. And to be honest with you, last week, our boy Babano explained to us why his nickname is Babano, and I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I still don't really get it. He said something about like when he was a kid or something like that. I fully didn't get it, but we're not going to ask him for the full story here this evening. We'll get to some picks. Babano, his new nickname, I call him Earth, Wind, and Fire. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Because, listen, Babano's going to step up and in at about 10:15 or so. He'll probably be with us to about 11:30, and we'll probably get to about 3 games. I figure we'll get to 3 games. So I appreciate everybody tuning in here this evening. It's been a pretty hostile week actually here on the late night anger management class. I can tell you right now, my rage level is at about 1. All right. Some evenings I am easily poked and stuff like that. I could probably have some stuff roll off me a little bit right now. And, really, I'm not in a great mood or anything like that, but I'm not in a bad mood. So, not in a good mood, not in a bad mood. I'm actually feeling pretty good tonight. A lot of times at this time of the night, I'm beaten down all the time, to be honest with you. I can't tell if I have something medically wrong with me or I just work too much. But I've got quite a bit of energy here this evening. So we'll see what happens here tonight. Ian Cameron's going to throw it down with us. We'll talk a little UFC tonight as well. We've got UFC on Friday night. We're going to be on live during the UFC Friday night from Japan. And, me and Lou from Gamblu.com talked about this on the Fantasy Sports Network earlier today. These cards in Japan, be careful. There's going to be a fixed fight on the card. There just is. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Yakuza, but, the Yakuza are they're basically the Japanese mob. And, you're going into Japan, you're holding a UFC event there. These motherfuckers, they don't give a shit about Interpol. They don't give a fuck about the FBI. They don't give a shit about the Nevada State Athletic Commission. They're untouchable. And, we saw about a year ago, the card in Macau, the fighter Bang, he actually got charged. He got caught. Pretty interesting, though. He took like $150,000, all right, from a cartel. He took $150,000 to throw a UFC fight. And he was like a minus 400 favorite. There was such a line swing that he went from a minus 400 favorite to the other guy was a minus 400 favorite. Like there was that much of a motherfucking swing. All right. So he went from like minus 350 to like plus 300 type of deal. And the betting markets, the sports books, they caught on. Like word got out. What the fuck's going on here? People are fucking hammering. And I'm talking about big money coming in everywhere at every sports book everywhere. Because these guys, it's sort of like an internet hack, right? They attack it once. So, boom, all this action's coming in and everywhere on this fucking Fight Pass fight on a fucking, on a UFC Macau card that starts at 6 a.m. type of thing. So the sports books caught on and the UFC caught on. The UFC monitors this stuff, right? So the UFC confronted him. They confronted him in the locker room before the fight. They went up to him and they said, listen, there's some weird shit going on here. And we don't know whatever you're thinking of doing or whatever is going on here, don't do it. So he goes into the octagon. He wins the fight. He wins the fight as a plus 300 fucking underdog. except he was really supposed to be a minus 400 favorite. So he wins the fight, tested and charged after. The South Korean government, their government nailed him. It happened in Macau, but they were like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Fuck. You know, it originated in Korea. So it was South Korea. And I brought this up the other night about the Korean Basketball League. It's fucking more fixed than fucking wrestling is, guys. You know, it just is. Asian sports are fucking fixed. And I'm just bringing this up. I'm not saying the main event's going to be fixed. I'm not saying the UFC's in on this. I'm saying the UFC can't stop it. They're going into their fucking territory. You're not going to tell the Yakuza or the fucking Hong Kong syndicate what to do in Macau. As I stated, they don't give a shit. There's only two entities in the fucking world that investigate match fixing, okay? The FBI and Intertops. Interpol. Intertops. Good book, Intertops. So, like I said, the Asians, they don't give a fuck about it. They're untouchable, fuck. Interpol and the FBI, they can't touch some guy in fucking Hong Kong. That's China's fucking land. They can't, that's China's government's issue, man, in Macau and shit. The US, the UFC, no one can do anything about it. And I'm telling you, every motherfucking time the UFC has gone to Asia, there's always shady shit that happens on the prelims. So basically, I'm not betting the prelims because I don't know what fucking side the fucking mob is on there. Well, QQ Wilson has a good point. That's the thing. Motherfucker was making $8,000 for the fight. That's the thing. If you're making $8,000 for a fight and you get another 8 if you win, so if you win the fight, you're making $16,000. They come and they say, listen, lose the fight and we'll give you $150,000. But that's the thing, and I ask you guys, I want your opinion on this. What's up, Chris Edge? My man in San Diego, go Aztecs. I want to ask you guys, though, this. If you take money to throw a fight and you fucking win the fight, with throwing a fight, because he's getting charged with throwing a fight. He's getting charged, and they take that shit seriously in Korea. I wouldn't want to be going to court for this. So, but the thing is, he won the fucking fight. Chris Edge is a class act. We got to get you on, Chris Edge. We'll set you up. Set up your Google Hangout shit. We'll get you on one of these times, bro. So what do you guys think? Should you get charged with throwing a fight? Money, all right? He took the money. That's the thing. He did take the money. So he met the guys. He took the money, but then he won the fight. This guy's got fucking problems, man. Because now you got the fucking Korean fucking government up your ass. And now you pissed off a fucking bunch of fucking Asian fucking gangsters because you took their money, but you didn't fucking lose the fight. like you have nowhere to go on this thing. If you you're better off throwing the fight and going to the gangsters after and saying, listen, fuck, you guys got to fucking get me a lawyer. And they just tell you, hey, don't worry about it. We're just going to threaten the judge now. You know what I mean? Like, you're better off just joining the bad guys at this point in time. Because you're in nowheres now. You're in nowheres land. You took $150,000 from a bunch of gangsters in Macau to throw a fight. You didn't throw the fight, and then you got charged with throwing the fight. like, motherfucker, you got to pick a team. You either become snitch and rat and say, oh my God, I was forced to do this, or you just bite the bullet and fucking, hey, it is what it is. That's a good point that Tom Marino brings up. But It is illegal to throw a fight. You raise a good point, but that's not going to stand, dude. I understand. I don't know if you're a lawyer that went to Rutgers too. We have a lot of attorneys in the house. Tom Marino raises a good point. You know, the UFC, that's what I'm saying, fun videos. Like, you know, you got no side here. You got arrested, you know, you're getting charged with throwing a fight, and you didn't even throw the fight, and now you pissed off a bunch of gangsters. And what are you going to do? You're not going to talk? Now, let me just get my Cleveland Indian bet in here. I like the Indians tonight. Josh Tomlin, the Indians are 6-1 in his last 7 starts. And Nolasco gets lit up at home. I don't understand. I think the number's a little low for the Tribe. Give me the Tribe. I've got the under in this Brewers-Pirates game. It's looked dead in the water all fucking night. Every time I check in, it's like bases loaded and stuff. But it's 4-3 right now. We can see if we can sweat this one out. Yeah, so, you know, I was going to say that about, so Tom Marino brings up, it's not illegal to throw a fight technically because it's entertainment. Well, it's not entertainment. I get what you're saying, but at the same point in time, it's a sanctioned sporting event from the Athletic Commission. So it might not be a federal violation, but it's a state violation. You know, that's not a good enough loophole, dude, to say, all right, I can throw a fight because it's entertainment. Now, one thing I will say, and you could use this against the UFC in court. Now, I'm going to get legal. I'm smarter than I look, all right? I'm going to get legal here. I don't know if you guys know about the Muhammad Ali Act. The Muhammad Ali Act was brought forth by John McCain years ago. The Muhammad Ali Act was to protect boxers from corruption in the fight game. So basically, you know, you have to live by rankings. You can't, you know, fuck people over. You need to pay people fairly. You know, so it's not a union, but it's basically, it's as close as boxing can get to a union. You know, John McCain said, look, these guys are getting fucked over. There's too much corruption in this. You know, if a fighter's won these fights, you can't, you know, the best guys got to fight, etc. And, you know, you can't fully eliminate corruption from boxing, obviously, but the Muhammad Ali Act was a good faith effort to do so. So they want to bring the Muhammad Ali Act now. They want to bring the Muhammad Ali Act to the UFC. All right, so the government does, the fighters do. Now, the UFC is a very powerful lobby, and they're buddies with the president, Donald Trump. They donate a lot. So, you know, the UFC gets this shit, you know, it's not in the media, etc. But the fact is, like, so the UFC is currently in court. This is an ongoing battle. So the UFC is currently in court fighting the Muhammad Ali Act. And Tom Marino raised a good point, and this is where you could argue, if I'm arguing, you know, on Bang's case, the fighter Bang, that's his last name, an Asian dude, Bang, Tycho Bang or whatever. So if you're arguing on his behalf, you could use the UFC's attorney's words against them. And in the court of law, in the battle of the Muhammad Ali Act, and the UFC doesn't want you to know this, but the UFC stated in court under oath that they are an entertainment company and that the belts don't mean anything. The UFC attorney stated under oath that the belts don't mean anything. They don't really have champions, that the rankings are sort of made up, and the belts are not championship belts. They are prizes for winning a fight. And they say this to stay away from the Muhammad Ali Act and to keep this entertainment shit going, and also for tax purposes. So exactly, fun videos. They're saying we're not even a real sport. And yeah, we have champions, but you know, it's not really, they're not really champions. We're not a league. We're sort of just, it's a token gesture for the fans, so to speak. They said this in court. So you could use these words and say, well, the fights aren't real. It's all just entertainment, as you know, and you use the quote of the UFC's attorneys. Unfucking believable alert, Eddie. Son of a bitch. I've been trying to sweat this game home all night. Yeah, it's a fucking crime. I'm with Kevin White on this. Tom Marino brings up a good point, but you're not getting away with match fixing by stating it's fucking entertainment. We're living in a real world here. The NFL is a not-for-profit fucking league, too, for some fucking reason. Yeah, like the NFL has no fucking profit. All right, for the record, like I said, I'm on the Cleveland Indians. Josh Tomlin, Cleveland Indians, 6-1 in his last 7 starts. Ricky Nolasco is way worse fucking at home than he is on the road. Yeah, but Tom Marino, you're not getting away with it. Like I said, it might be defined. It's still a sanctioned event. There's still odds on it. There's judging on it. You can't throw a boxing match. It is illegal. Like it is. Exactly. I'm not an attorney, but I'm not dumb enough to know that you're not going to go to court. Oh, sir, well, it's entertainment. And, oh, yeah, so the judge's going to let you off. No. Let's bring in Ian Cameron, a.k.a. Babano, co-host of The Round Table, as well as big star over at sportsmemo.com and good personal close friend of Johnny Manziel. Steps up and joins us. What's going on, Babano?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Morency. And this Wicked Wednesday appearance I've done with you now a couple weeks here on the late night anger management class, it's sort of therapeutic for me, Gabe. And let me explain why. It's because Wednesday's a busy day. I start the day, of course, get up, do some handicapping, do a free play for Sports Memo, do the roundtable show with Donnie, Jeff, and Drew Martin. And today's the day really we crunch it big time in terms of the football card for the weekend. We really lock things in, finalize plays, what I'm going to send out to clients, usually on Thursday. I send them out all my NFL and college football releases for the weekend. So Wednesday is sort of D-Day for me. And now that I've got most of the work done, I come on, join you, Gabe, and I get to basically give my opinions, reinforce things that I believe in for the upcoming football weekend, and makes myself feel better and probably more confident in my picks. Hopefully they play out that way.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm the late night anger management professor. I'm here to boost other people's self-esteem, Babano. I'm glad to know that you walk out of here feeling a better man, don't you? That's what you're trying to say. That's why that's why we have so many fans. People feel better about themselves after they watch this show.
I sure do. If everybody's having a bad day down in the dumps, things didn't go your way, your boss treated you like an asshole during the day, whatever the job is, you get to vent, you get to at least come here and experience rage with someone, and in a lot of cases other people in the chat too. They're not feeling good about certain things, whether it's bets, whether it's something in their personal life, whatever. And that's what the show is about. That's what it's been about with you for 16, 17 years. It's about venting that rage, getting things out in the open. Don't leave anything bottled up, because really it's going to drive you even crazier in the end.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. It's good to that's what we're here for, and it's therapeutic for me. It's therapeutic for everybody. We're just trying to pass the time. We all have problems in our life, and we're all looking for distractions. But I feel you, Babano. Wednesdays used to be a big day for me because I'd have Game Time Decisions, Morency Unfiltered, MMA Meltdown. And that was a big deal in the old days for me. Oh, wow, I have 3 shows to do in one day. That's today I did that. I did Game Time Decisions, Morency Unfiltered. And now this, and I'm feeling refreshed. I feel refreshed, actually, Babano. There's some days, man, I do 6 or 7 fucking shows. I'm doing 29 hits a week now. It's 29 or 30 shows a week and radio appearances and all that. That's a motherfucking lot. And like I said, I can't lie to you. I don't feel well, Babano, physically. And I'm like Mr. Burns, and it's no joke anymore. I do have a lot of things wrong, there's no doubt. But I can't tell if I'm just exhausted, I'm just getting older, or I am medically not well. So I guess time will tell in the near future.
You know what's funny, and I've said this to a big man on campus a while back. You are the 47-year-old him, and he's the, I think, 28-year-old you. I mean, it really is unbelievable. You both have that rage. You both don't let anything fester. You get it out in the open. You vent about it. And you both, and I don't know if there's two people on the planet that do more shows than Morency and Jeff Nadeau, the big man on campus. It's ridiculous. Like, Jeff Nadeau's face is plastered over SBR every single fucking day. He's on a ton. And kudos to him for doing it. I mean, he puts in the time, puts in the hours, and he's doing multiple shows every single day. I can't do that many, but he does, and I give him credit for it.
I'm looking at the chat here right now, and one thing I want to state, it's amazing how many fucking lawyers we have in the chat. If anyone ever needs an attorney, evidently, yeah, I don't sleep much, D-Rock, but I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's crazy. Everyone's an attorney in here. It's like, but yeah, big man works hard. I was on with him on Sunday night. Sundays are crazy for me, too. I'm doing the Patreon shit from 10 to 11:30. Big man, me and Donnie, 12 to 1. Me and Donnie from halftime, and me and big man on campus throughout the whole Sunday night football game for 4 hours. And it's funny because I woke up Monday morning and I logged onto the internet and I had the YouTube page up still. And I was beaten down. I was like, I got up. I was like, holy fuck, it's fucking Monday. I got to get ready for the TV show. Log on and there's fucking big man on campus live. And I'm like, holy fuck, this guy's fucking hardcore, man. Like, I got a big man props. And I don't know if you're out there, big man. Big man knows his stuff. He's a hard worker. Big fan of the big man on campus. So let's jump in here, Babano. We're going to run the table, man. We're going to talk NFL, college football, and CFL. I told people you'll probably be on till about 11:30 or so, and that should be enough time for you and me to get to about 3 games. Because, yeah, if I had the rights, I would play Earth, Wind, and Fire for you. That's your new theme song.
Yeah, if you want long-winded, lengthy, extensive breakdowns, I'm the guy for it. And yeah, if we broke down every single NFL, college, and CFL game, this show, you know what, the Wednesday night, Wicked Wednesday is going to become the Thursday night throwdown. We'll still be here at this time tomorrow night breaking down the card if you let me find a way.
It would take you like fucking 8 hours to break down 16 games.
Oh, yeah.
If not longer. So sort of like you're a big fan of Seinfeld, I know, right, Babano? So,
yep.
Like when Newman starts rambling and stuff and Kramer goes, Newman! And he's got to rein Newman! He's got to rein Newman in. That's what I'll do with you this evening. You start telling us, about what city the team plays in or the roster or, anything like that. We'll sort of just say, Babano!
I like Newman too, and it reminds me of that scene too, and he's trying to get Jerry for mail fraud, and finally waited to expose you as the monster that you are, a monster so vile, Newman. And his voice just does that weird thing with his voice. It's one of the funniest damn scenes ever. It's a great show, Seinfeld, iconic, love it. It's really crazy how much Babano looks like Christian Bale's little brother or something like that, doesn't it? Seriously, Babano looks like one of the Wahlbergs. There's Mark Wahlberg's the cool one and shit, and then everyone else sort of hops on and they've made a career out of it and reality TV and shit, and they got their overpriced hamburgers. That'd be like Babano. Christian Bale opens a restaurant, and then Babano would be, Christian Bale's little brother, and Babano would be the manager of the restaurant or something like that. I have no physique anywhere close to those two. That's the only issue, but we'll take the compliment. All right, so let's start off with some NFL football. The Thursday night contest, the Rams now up to 2.5-point favorites. I don't agree with this number. It's insane that the Rams are favored 3 weeks in a row. And it's interesting. I had Mark Lawrence on, and I love Mark Lawrence in that database. And the database tells us that since 1983, the Rams have only been favored in 3 consecutive games, 23 times. They're 7-15-1 in the spread, against the spread in that situation, Babano. And the thing about that to me is, over the years when the Rams were favored 3 weeks ago, they were actually good with Jim Everett and Eric Dickerson and then with Kurt Warner and then that great Super Bowl team. The Rams are not good right now. There's some sort of perception and reality and, this thing about, the Rams. I get it. San Francisco or San Francisco. San Francisco just, played against Seattle, only lost by 3 points. I think the wrong team is favored in this football game. I like San Francisco here. Yeah, early in the week, I was liking the Rams, and I've liked them a lot less. This is not a game I'm going to be betting in the end, anything significant at least. The thing that's concerning, Gabe, for the LA Rams is I know Jared Goff's looked competent at times. Todd Gurley looks like he's revitalized, playing better, running the football. There's definitely steps forward that the Rams offense is taking, but a real red flag for me in that Washington loss for the Rams on the weekend, Morency, is the way Washington lined up in the trenches against the Rams and ran the football essentially down the Rams' throat. That's a big concern for me. And it's not like Barry Sanders was doing that. It's not like LaDainian Tomlinson in his prime was doing that. That's Rob Kelly, Thompson, Samaje Perine that were doing that and lining up and just bowling over that Rams defensive front, running the football for over 200 yards on the ground did the Redskins have. So that is a concern because as stagnant and poor as the 49ers offense has been, if Brian Hoyer can get some support from the ground game and from Carlos Hyde against a Rams offense or defense that gave up big chunks of yardage on the ground against Washington, it could alleviate some of the stress of this 49ers offense and some of the problems they've had through the first 2 weeks of the season. So that problems with the run really do concern me. And they had Aaron Donald back in that game against Washington. They still could stop the run. So that's an issue for me. I don't want to lay points with the Rams here, but at the same point in time, San Francisco, the spot probably a little advantageous for them being at home, a slight underdog. But I have not seen enough from the offense to back them to get behind it. It's a tough game for me. I'd lean under, if anything. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And the total keeps coming down. It's finally at 39.5 right now. And I just don't see where the point's going to come from. And, oftentimes in football games like this, in which it seems like a stone cold under, you're not expecting there to be any points. There ends up being points. But, 39.5, this should be a low scoring football game. The Rams have been okay. They've been competitive. They beat up on the Colts in week 1. The Colts were terrible. Scott Tolzien, it was inept. And then in week 2, I'm going to give the Rams a little bit of credit for at least battling and coming back and making a game of it. But the fact is, all right, and the Indians get out of the first inning. The Angels had a runner on second base, but they get out of it going to the second inning here. But, the thing is with the Rams, those first 2 games were at home. All right, so this is their first road game. Let's see Jared Goff go on the road. Yeah, it's San Francisco. And if this game was on a Sunday afternoon or something like that later in the season, maybe the stadium wouldn't be as packed and as fired up, but it's still early in the season for the San Francisco 49ers. It's on national television. It's a standalone Thursday primetime game. They're fucking nut jobs in the Bay Area. They're going to get all fucking wasted and go to this game. They're going to be all fired up. They beat them in this spot 28-0 last year as well. Like I said, it's hard to tell you, hey, it's a fucking stone cold lock. There's no such thing as a lock. There's a key for every lock. But it's the Thursday night game. I think San Francisco's the side, and I like the under. 49ers and the under. Yeah, like I said, the key handicap to me is if Carlos Hyde gets it going on the ground and that Rams defense struggles against the run like they did against Washington, that's going to be a bit of an issue. When you're giving up close to 5 yards per carry, you're giving up 150 rushing yards per game like the Rams are. So they've got to shore that up. I know the Colts didn't run the ball against them, but the Colts have a pathetic offensive line. Colts have no quality running backs to speak of unless you count Frank Gore past his prime. So that's an issue as far as I'm concerned. For the Rams, they've got to shore up. And maybe the ability to run the football successfully, keep them in third and short situations is going to be a benefit for the 49ers in this game if they can get that run game going. The other game we're talking about the Colts, it's not next in the rotation, but I'm going to bring it up now anyways. The Cleveland Browns, and now it's up to 1.5. Oh, great. Keep on betting the Browns, guys. Keep on betting on the Browns. There's no way in fucking hell. This is the same thing with the Rams. And hold on a second, actually. I want to show you guys something. Intermission with Morency here. So we'll see what he's got. Speaking of the Browns, we had a raffle at work, and I won a $50 gift card from Modell's Babano. Modell's, one of our sponsors of the radio show. Great sports store, Modell's. So I won a $50 gift card, and Cam Stewart won a throwback Cleveland Brown Jim Brown jersey. All right, pretty good prize, except and there's no Modell's here, so I was going to order online a Michigan jersey. But nevertheless, so my card arrived today and Cam's jersey arrived, but the jersey didn't fit Cam. Even though it was supposed to, it was going to be a big one and shit. You don't say. Yeah, it didn't fit him. And Cam was very disappointed. He's like, oh, fuck, what the fuck am I going to – he was all disappointed.
And I told him, looks like it's going to fit me perfectly, Cam. I said, why don't we trade? I'll give you my $50 Modell gift card. You give me this. And this is a sweet fucking jersey here, guys. This is what I want to show. Look at this one. Throwback Jim Brown.
The last good player the Browns had.
Throwback Jim Brown jersey.
But
fucking sweet. Hey, listen, the Cleveland Browns are a terrible franchise, but man, they got a nice looking jersey. I'm a big fan of this nice, simple, classic Browns jersey. And yeah, it doesn't get much better than this. No, that's not true. What'd you say, Babano? Is it Jim Brown was your last good player?
Yeah.
About Bernie Kosar, man.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Vinny Testaverde.
Okay. We'll give you that one. Yeah.
Clay Matthews, Brian Sipe. Come on, man. The Mistake by the Lake. I was a kid. I remember the Mistake by anyone older in the chat. You guys are going to remember the Mistake by the Lake. The Cleveland Browns played the Oakland Raiders, and the Browns were about to win in the playoffs, and Brian Sipe threw an interception in the end zone. The Raiders went on to win the Super Bowl, and it's called the Mistake by the Lake. Rich Banks asked if I'm wearing a Jason Campbell jersey. No, I'm not wearing a Jason Campbell jersey. I don't think they ever made any fucking Jason Campbell.
I was going to say, who'd want that piece of shit?
This is a fucking this is a Dante Culpepper Raiders jersey.
Jason Campbell and the three teams and the mediocre play he had all those years. Yeah, who'd want that jersey?
I got to admit, Babano, I thought Jason Campbell was going to be good.
Yeah. That's all he was. He was serviceable and more mediocre.
Ozzie Newsome, Rob Job. Yeah, you're right. And I'm personally Taylor Cleveland. That's got to be into the gap. Oh, Tribe, we're going to score 1-0 Tribe.
There you go.
1-0 Tribe. I'm a little bit disappointed in you that you say that the Browns haven't had any good players since Jim Brown. Considering you're such a good friend of Johnny Manziel, that's amazing that you'll throw your boy Manziel under the bus like that.
Well, it's easy to see why. I throw him under the bus. I haven't heard a damn thing from him since Costa Rica. It's like a bad relationship. When it goes bad, I don't hear anything from the guy. So what the hell? You get thrown under the bus. It's over. It's done.
Stooge,
nowhere to go.
Mistake by the Lake is the description of him and his excuse. That's hard, Stooge the Mooch. Very funny. I'm gonna give you props for that. But that's hard, man. Like if your ex-wife sees that one, man, you ain't seen the kid. You ain't seen the kid. All right. Yeah, you know what? I'm a little taken aback by this list of Cleveland Browns. Best Cleveland Brown best players.
It's probably because through all my lifetime, the only thing I remember from the Cleveland Browns is heartache, misery, and a bunch of shit. It's hard to recount them off the top of my head.
Yeah, you know what? It's weird. Yeah, they're terrible. But like I said, when I was a kid, they weren't that bad. Sam Latigliano was the coach. Brian Sipe was the quarterback. And then when I was a teenager, don't forget, Babano, that they were cursed, man. They were about to beat the Broncos, man, and they fumbled on the fucking goal line, dude.
Yep.
The fumble. They
called
on
Sam Ellinger.
Ernest Biner. And there was another one, Babano, called The Drive.
Yeah.
And John fucking Elway, both against the Broncos. John fucking Elway marched the ball like 95 yards down the field in viciously bad fucking weather and beat them, and it was called The Drive.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like franchises like that just have this terrible history and just the non-winning tradition. They just have bad things happen to them. Luck doesn't go their way. The bounces don't go their way. They have fluke shit happening against them year in and year out. Cleveland Browns, you can say, how do the Buffalo Bills go to 5 Super Bowls, not win one? You go on 4 Super Bowls and not win one. You go on down the list, there's so many teams in that regard that have just had no luck whatsoever here in the NFL. And it's the bad teams. It's the bad franchises. It's the ones that have been in a drought from a winning perspective. And Browns are one of them.
Hey, man. Hey, that's right. Kelly fucking Holcomb. That was the last time the Browns were in the playoffs. 2002.
I'll give Kelly Holcomb credit. He had a couple good years there.
Kelly Holcomb. Butch Davis was the coach.
Yes, I remember that.
They lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I never forget it. I remember I was at the Deerhurst Resort with my ex-girlfriend. May she rest in peace. She passed away. And I remember driving in the car, and I was telling her, fuck, we're missing this. I said, the Browns aren't in the playoffs a lot. I got to see this. I remember being in the car with it. We got to get to the hotel.
May not see it again. Hurry up. Get in the car. Let's go.
Yeah. So, Yeah, I'm looking at the list of the best Browns players, and most of them, like they got all the old guys: Otto Graham, Leroy Kelly, Gene Hickerson, Bill Willis, Luke Rosa. But those teams in the '80s were pretty good too, man. They had some good teams. So, anyways, the Cleveland Browns, they are. You know what, Babano? The last 20 road games that they played, you know how many times they've won? Once.
I was going to say one, yeah.
Once. They're 1-19. They're 1-19 straight up in their last 20 games. So what, are the Colts that bad? You think like the Colts are that bad that the Browns should be favored? The Colts are going to beat them. Colts should have beaten the Cardinals. They covered against the Cardinals. They were going to beat them in overtime, and fucking Brissett turned the ball over. Brissett now is another full week with the number ones to get ready. The Cleveland Browns have no motherfucking business being favorites against anybody. Like, if they're favored by 1.5 at home, okay, I can live with that. No way on the road. Not to mention, Corey Coleman's out. He broke his hand.
Yeah, exactly right. And I remember taking a shot with Cleveland last week, but I was getting them +9, and they had chance after chance after chance, Gabe, to cover that number. They did. They moved the ball in between the 20s against that Baltimore team several times, but it was one Kaiser interception after another that ended the drive, no points on the board. And eventually the Ravens offensively were able to wear down Cleveland's defense late. And Cleveland's offense just didn't do enough with the opportunities that they were given in that football game. And they end up not getting the point spread cover, losing by double digits. I think there's going to be later in the season, I'll stress that, later in the season, money to be made with Cleveland as they get better, as Deshaun Kaiser gets more comfortable, and I think Hugh Jackson is going to have this team eventually trending upward, but there is no way, no how I can endorse Cleveland in a favorites role, particularly on the road. Deshaun Kaiser struggling with interceptions last week against Baltimore's defense. Granted, Indy's defense ain't Baltimore's, but I have a hard time endorsing them in this favorites role. Jacoby Brissett, he played decent at times last week. Again, I think in the second half, Arizona made some adjustments, and he really started to struggle moving the ball against that Cardinal defense. But at this price range, it is just not at all the price range. And a pick 'em on the road, they got to win the game to cover. It's not a price range I'm trusting Cleveland in just yet.
I'm looking in the chat here. I see Justin Paroli. And you know what? I almost agree with Paroli. If Kevin Hogan was the quarterback, I would, I'd be – the thing is, I think Kaiser will just make mistakes. It's somewhat of a homecoming for Kaiser, of course, being Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana, going back to play in Indianapolis here. But as I stated, the Cleveland Browns are 1-19 their last 20 road games. And another thing is like, okay, maybe if the Browns were 2-0 or something, and all right, look, they're playing great football. They're not playing great football. They haven't gotten blown out. That's the big thing. They haven't gotten blown out yet this year. The Colts, to me, have more talent on the field still. It's aging talent, but they still have more talent. I'm a Jacoby Brissett fan. I don't think Jacoby Brissett's great, but in a situation like this, kid played pretty well coming in difficult circumstances last week. And like I stated, he's going to have more time to prepare right now. That line baffles me. There's a few lines that baffle me. Another line that was interesting, it was 4, and it's come down to 3.5 right now. The Baltimore Ravens and the Jacksonville Jaguars playing in London, England. Most sports books don't have it. Doesn't say London anywhere, like in a lot of rotations. So don't be fooled by that. The game's not in Jacksonville, but I'm sure anyone watching this show is aware of that. Baltimore, Jacksonville in London. Pretty interesting. Me and Mark Lawrence talked about this game earlier in the day, Babano. Winning teams are 7-1 there. Basically, when you go to London, if a team is a winning team, they'll win. And the team with the better record always wins. 7-1 straight up, 5-3 against the spread. You've got a team that creates turnovers against a team that fucking turns the ball over. Give me the Baltimore Ravens.
London calling to a faraway town. A football game. Blake Bortles is a clown. London call. There we go. Looking
excellent. We promised people karaoke. Very, very good. I approve, Babano. Working the clash in. Good job.
There we go. It's a classic track and perfectly executed. Great timing to bring that out, bust that out. We're heading to London, England here with this game.
Bravo. That's Babano. We got to give you a thumbs up for that one. Good job, Babano.
Yeah, it's a little better than English beat. Let's put it that way. But you know what? Baltimore to me is a tough team to lay points with, though. I know I bashed Bortles just now in my little soliloquy there, my little solo hit there. But I'll tell you what, Baltimore's got issues.
I just want to say something. Somebody in the chat saying the score needs to bring me back. The score doesn't exist anymore. Okay. I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm on the Fantasy Sports Network. I'm on the Dish Network, and I'm on SBR. I don't need the score, but I appreciate the kind words nevertheless, Muhammad. Just wanted to get that out of the way. All right, continue, Babano.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a new era now. I know everybody talks about, the score. Oh, we miss hardcore sports radio. Oh, we miss this. We miss that.
Yeah,
it's
people
a new
are like,
era.
if only you and Cam were on. Yeah. Oh, if you and Cam were on every day. Yeah, we are. Weeknights at 8 o'clock. Weeknights at 8. I don't know what to tell you. Like, people, I miss you in Montreal, Morency. People in Montreal, evidently, it's like North Korea. They don't have the internet. They once you leave the island of Montreal, you're gone forever.
What did these people just disappear and go to Antarctica after 2009 and never be seen again? Never hear what you're doing since then, since the end of the hardcore days? Oh, well. Baltimore, to me, is a tough team to lay points with here in this game, Gabe. I'll tell you why. Marshall Yonda out on the offensive line, ankle injury, suffered last week. It's a Baltimore offense that even against Cleveland last week was not a sharp offense by any stretch of the imagination. And Jacksonville is still pretty good on the defensive side of the ball. Jacksonville's more familiar with playing these games in London than Baltimore. They've definitely played more of them. The problem is, I know Blake Bortles reverted back to Blake Bortles last week. See, Tennessee got the lead last week. That was the key. And they piled up the points. They got to a double-digit lead, and Blake Bortles was absolutely clueless with how to operate offensively with an almost exclusively pass-happy attack once they fell behind by that many points. That's going to be the key for Jacksonville. They got to keep this game close. They got to keep it within a single score. That way they can still run the football, make it a balanced offense. They're going to struggle against Baltimore's defense too, because Baltimore is a very good unit on that side of the ball. Defensively, they've been very, very good so far. That's an understatement. But I just have concerns laying more than a field goal here with Baltimore. Neutral field game, London, England, an offense that's not got great skill position talent. Flacco's been okay. Offensive line's banged up, and it's not great to begin with. I'd lean slightly to Jacksonville, like the under even more.
Yeah, I agree with you as far as the total is concerned once again. And, that hook at 3.5 is a little bit daunting. But to me, Baltimore will win 20-10 or something like that. And it'll be an ugly, low-scoring game. Bortles will turn the ball over a little bit. Basically, if you can shut Leonard Fournette down, and that's what Tennessee was able to do, surprisingly enough. Tennessee was able to shut Leonard Fournette down. They tried to make Blake Bortles beat him. And, I'll tell you, though, I'm going to repeat this. Blake Bortles, wasn't his fault, those interceptions. The balls weren't the most accurate balls, but both of them hit the wide receivers and were tipped up in the air after. That's on them. That's not on Bortles. But I don't have confidence in Bortles. And we talked about this last night on the show. I don't know if you heard, Babano, but, we were talking. Some people say the turnovers are a random anomaly and a fluke, so to speak. But it's not a fluke with Baltimore. They created 5 turnovers against Andy Dalton, the interceptions and the fumble. They created another 4 or 5 against Cleveland the week 2. There's a pattern here. Harbaugh and the Ravens have always been opportunistic. That's just what they do. It's how they play. They've got an elite defense this year. And I'm not even saying the Ravens are a great football team. We don't know. Their offense really hasn't had to do anything yet this year. And once again, I don't think they're going to have to do anything again, but they're going to be 3-0. They're not losing to the Jacksonville Jags. I like the Ravens in this spot.
Yeah, it's a game that I'm not going to have a lot on other than a little look at the under. Again, I still having trouble trusting Baltimore in this price range, million miles away from home. I just want to see if their offense has that punch. I still think Jacksonville's a capable enough defense. They just got worn out. That first half, they did absolutely nothing offensively against Tennessee last week. And by the time the second half came around, there was not much gas left in that Jaguar tank defensively. So they're going to need to at least keep Baltimore within arm's length in this game, because we know Blake Bortles ain't a come from behind coach. He's great at putting up garbage points actually in the fourth quarter, but usually they're down by 3 scores at that point. That's when he piles it up on you.
Another underdog that I'm taking a look at this week, and I see there's a little bit of line movement here. It's coming down from 6. It's down to 5.5 right now. Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. I spoke with Donnie Rightside about this game earlier in the day. The total's 46.5 here, and I like the Saints in this game. I like the points. I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints won this game outright, but I'm not calling that. But I do like them plus the points. I liked it better that even 6 than the 5.5. But honestly, if you look, the Carolina Panthers are 2-0, and they've only given up 6 points on the year. So they're giving up 2 field goals. It's very impressive. But, they played the San Francisco 49ers and the Buffalo Bills. If the New Orleans Saints opened up the season on the road against the San Francisco 49ers, they probably beat them. If the New Orleans Saints are playing week 2 at home against the Buffalo Bills at the Superdome, they beat them. I'm a Bills fan. We're not beating the Saints in that situation. If the Carolina Panthers played on Monday Night Football against the Vikings, they would lose. If they hosted the Patriots last Sunday, they probably lost the game. So where I'm going with this is, the Panthers are 0-2, but if the Saints played the same fucking schedule the Panthers did, they'd be 2-0 as well. Or sorry, the Panthers are 2-0. You know what I mean? If the Saints play the same schedule, they'd be 2-0. And if Panthers play the same schedule the Saints did, they could conceivably be 0-2. I don't think there's like that huge gap between them. The last 3 times they played, it's always a 3-point game. The other time it wasn't a 3-point game, and the last 4 times they played, it was a 5-point game. So the last 4 games they played have been decided by a total of 14 points. I think we've got a real live dog here with the New Orleans Saints in this game.
All right, now we're talking. We're talking about a game I'll have a little bit more of a larger stake on than the last 2 that we talked about. Total agreement. I'll be looking at New Orleans plus the points. I saw nothing to like whatsoever. Nothing at all from the Carolina Panthers offense last week. I know the Bills defense dug in there, played hard. They've got some talent on that side of the ball. McDermott's going to mold that unit into a good defense throughout the season, but Carolina's got real problems right now. Cam Newton's been off. He's been wide. He's been high with a bunch of throws in each of the first 2 games for Carolina. The offensive line's been mauled in the first 2 games. San Francisco got pressure on Newton. The Bills got relentless pressure on Newton. They terrorized the bastard. I mean, really, Cam Newton was just on his ass half of that football game last week. And now you're without tight end Greg Olsen, a safety blanket, a safety valve for Cam Newton, who's relied upon across the middle of the field. And everybody's talking, this is the week for Christian McCaffrey to take a step forward. I haven't seen that splash yet from Christian McCaffrey. I'm waiting. I'm still waiting. Haven't seen it really from him for 2 games. Stewart's been getting a lot of carries, but when they've given the ball to McCaffrey, we haven't seen that big, huge 30, 40, 50-yard gainer from Christian McCaffrey yet in 2 games. So maybe the Saints defense has been so wretched that Christian McCaffrey can finally have that kind of game. Maybe that remains to be seen. But I will say this about New Orleans. I know people are throwing this team under the bus for 2 losses to Minnesota and New England, but 2 good football teams. I know the Saints defense has been a problem area big time. I thought this defense would be better. It hasn't come to fruition yet, but they're taking a step down in class in terms of the quality of offense here, especially when you played New England last week. I think they're going to have real problems. And Carolina's not a win by margin team for me right now, especially in this kind of price range.
Exactly.
New Orleans has played close games, as you said. They've been close down to the wire games, Saints and Panthers.
No, they couldn't score a fucking touchdown against the Bills.
No, they didn't.
So you're laying 6 points, 5.5, 6 points with a team that couldn't score a touchdown against a Bills team that couldn't get a first down. Like, honestly, like Carolina, it was inept. Like, Buffalo's defense is elite, and I'm a Bills fan. I'm really happy about that defense they have. But, seriously, Babano, the Carolina Panthers got the fucking ball on the 35-yard line. Like, the Bills were punting from their end zone repeatedly, all right? They got the ball on the 45, they'd go backwards. They got the ball on the 37, they went backwards. Late in the game, I thought I was screwed. There was no way the Bills were going to cover the number. They were on the 3-yard line, 1st and goal, looked like the Giants. They went backwards. McCaffrey lost yards. Cam Newton had a wide open fucking guy. He sailed it over his head. This offense is not in sync. You're right. McCaffrey's not running wild in the NFL. The hole's closed. It looks like he's going to make a play, and the lane closes on him. He doesn't have that speed in the NFL that he did. And in the preseason, it was different. He was playing against backups and players that didn't give a shit. So suddenly they give a shit, and he's not scaring anybody. As you say, they're without Greg Olsen, which is massive for them. So now, and Cam Newton doesn't scramble anymore, really, because he doesn't want to get hit. And every time he gets hit, but Cam Newton got hit twice real hard last week. Both times he was on the turf after. Like, he's beat up. This offense is fucking hurting right now. They didn't play well against San Francisco offensively either, Babano. And now you want him to win by 6 points. It's a lot to ask.
And the problem is McCaffrey, like I said, McCaffrey's not gotten off yet. Olsen's injured. Other than Kelvin Benjamin, who else on this Carolina offense right now in terms of weaponry surrounding Cam Newton is going to scare you right now from a defensive perspective? Not a whole lot. And you look at the 4 meetings since 2015, 2 in each season. 4-0 ATS, the Saints, head-to-head against Carolina. 5-point game, 3-point game, 3-point game, 3-point game. All close games, all down to the wire. And I'll tell you what, this is still Drew Brees and Sean Payton, a circle the wagon spot. They know they can't go 0-3. I think that offense is going to take a step forward here. Not going to be easy. Carolina's defense, as we saw last week, still very good. But I don't trust Carolina's offense to put up the points necessary to cover this number. And for all this talk about Drew Brees and the Saints being a different team on the road than at the Superdome, a little bit of a fallacy because New Orleans is actually 9-2 against the spread their last 11 road games. So they've been a pretty decent point spread team on the highway in recent seasons. You know what? I don't always blindly bet the 0-2 team, but I like the situation. I don't like what I'm seeing from Carolina's offense, and I like it enough to back the Saints plus the points.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the same style of football game as we've seen in the last few times that they played. And you look at the scores. So last year, Carolina beat them in Carolina 23-20. Last year in New Orleans beat them 41-38. The year before that, Carolina beat them 41-38. The year before that, Carolina beat them in the same year, 27-22. So, we're seeing extremely close games. They're an evenly matched teams. The Saints, they're not the same right now. Their offense is struggling. Now, we talked about Carolina's problems. The Saints do have issues as well. Their defense is not very good. There was a lot of lip service about their defense getting better, and the Angels have first and third with one out right now in the bottom of the second inning. There was a lot of lip service about their defense getting better. Maybe it will as the season goes on, but it hasn't as of yet. That's something. Offensively, they're not totally in sync. And I warned people about this, that people underestimated the loss of Willie Snead on the left side of the football field for them. And then you got Michael Thomas, who they pushed Brandon Cooks out the door for. And Michael Thomas only in his second year. Usually it takes wide receivers 3 or 4 years to really become stars in the NFL. They really accelerated Thomas here. And Thomas had a lot of success because Brandon Cooks was on the field. So now suddenly Ted Ginn Jr. and Brandon Coleman, they're not scaring anybody. So teams can fucking load up on Thomas with safety help, and they're doing it, and he can't deal with it. I mean, the guy's got 9 catches in 2 games. He's had minimal fucking impact on anything. I have him on 2 fantasy teams. He's supposed to be an impact player this year. He hasn't been. So the Saints do have offensive issues. But, now we're into week 3 here. And as you stated, it's a desperation game. And I love those desperate teams like you, Babano. I'm sure there'll be a game that we'll argue about at some point, but we're in agreement tonight. I like the desperate wounded animals and these desperate teams. I think they come to play. Remember last year, the Saints were in the same spot. They were like 0-2, 0-3, and they went into San Diego and they won outright.
Yeah, I mean, you can't this is a huge game for the Saints. And actually, from the quotes I've read, players, coaches, they all know it. They're all sounding like it. Hey, we got to get this win here this weekend. Doesn't mean must win, doesn't mean will win, but I like them inside this number. And I will say this about the Saints offense. I have concerns about them too. There's no denying that. Michael Thomas, it seems like he gets all kinds of attention. It's going to be up for some of these other receivers to step up here for the Saints. Ginn, Coleman, as you mentioned. But Carolina, I mean, I'm not a big Funchess and Shepard fan. I mean, they're okay for Carolina to help out with Kelvin Benjamin, but they're not, set the world on fire receivers, at least not yet, in my opinion. And I will say this too about this Saints team. They're coming into this game, I think, with an absolute chip on their shoulder here and have the chance to hang around in this game, but they will miss Zach Strief at right tackle. I mean, that is a big injury loss for the Saints. He missed week 1. He got injured. Hasn't quite been great cohesion on the offensive line. But now you give this team a game under their belt without Strief and another week to get this offensive line in sync. I think it can only help.
North Ender says he wants to do cocaine with me, get drunk, and go to a sports book in Vegas. Yeah, I can say I've probably done that in my life before.
Sounds like a Gabe night to me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's happened a few times. But that was in my younger years. I don't do blow like I used. I used to, I would socially do it in certain party situations in past years or when I was in a band years ago. But nowadays, I don't trust any powder. Fuck, I don't trust anything, man. They put fentanyl and all kinds of weird shit in drugs, man. You can't buy drugs from strangers on the street and then snort that shit. That's a stupid thing to do. That's my public service announcement of the night. You know what? I see Mohammed Joma talking about some games here, talking about locks. Now, first things, there's no such thing as a lock, guys. For every lock, there's a key, and fuck, the Angels just scored 1-1. For every lock, there's a key, guys. And a game that I saw him talking about was the Jets and the Dolphins, and this is another one that I want to warn people about. And same with the Bengals. We're going to surprise people with my opinion on the Bengals and the Packers game. But this Jets game and the Dolphins game, I was all over the Dolphins last week, and some people questioned me. I remember me and Donnie on Sunday morning. They're like, you guys are fucking nuts. Donnie liked it, too. They're like, you're nuts taking Jay Cutler on the fucking road. They haven't played a game yet and all this. I liked it, and they got it done. But that doesn't mean I want to lay 6 points with Jay Cutler in back-to-back road games right now. Jay Cutler on the road is like 22-39 or something like that against the spread, okay? Oh, fuck. Did the Angels just score again? No. All right. It's 1-1 still. Yeah, it's 1-1, 2-0. But, this game, I'm not saying the Jets. The way I see this, I think the Jets will lose a heartbreaker. I can see the Dolphins winning on a last-second field goal, winning by 3 or something like that. This series, it's a rivalry. It's a division rivalry. Historically, it's the rivalry game. You know what I mean? Like the Jets and the Dolphins are rivals. The fans don't like each other. They don't. It's the New York, Miami. A lot of New Yorkers live in Miami, etc. It's a rivalry game. I don't trust the Dolphins laying 6 here. I'm not telling you I'm going to bet the fucking $500 on the Jets or anything, but I'm just warning people. Be careful with the Dolphins in this game.
I'm going to thank the Miami Dolphins for last week. Best bet winner for me over the LA Chargers. That was my top play in the NFL, but doesn't mean I have to put that money right back in on them this week, and I'm not going to. I mean, I do have concerns about the spot. I'm not taking the Jets either. Maybe I'd lean to actually Donnie's recommendation. He made a good point last night, first half, with the New York Jets. That could be a chance for them maybe to jump on Miami a little bit. With Miami actually returning.
I think the over, Babano, as well. I think there'll be some points in this game. It's only 42. It's not incredibly high. Cutler's going to be able to attack these guys deep down the field. And, the Jets moved the ball a little bit against the Raiders. 42 is a pretty low number here.
They did. In that first half, when they were still in that game and still battling, they did find some ways to move the ball against Oakland. There's no question about that.
Well, they've got Curse. They've got Robbie Anderson. They've got Curse. They've got Forte. They've got some guys. You know what I mean? It's not like they have nobody, just collectively as a whole. I mean, the quarterback's pretty bad. That's the problem. And, I'd love the Jets in this spot +6. More not liking the Jets, but more an anti-Dolphins spot here. But my whole deal is Josh McCown. I brought up the fact that the Cleveland Browns are 1-19 on the road in their last 20 highway attempts. We can't overlook the fact that Josh McCown is now 2-23 in his last 25 starts in the NFL.
And the concern here for the New York Jets is Josh McCown going to be able to throw his way to a point spread cover in this game? Because he might have to. The Miami defense last week against Melvin Gordon and the Chargers run game was very good. It was through the air. It was Rivers and the passing game that was really carving up Miami. Most of the yards that Miami gave up last week were through the air. 225 passing yards, 6.6 yards per pass allowed to Rivers and the Chargers last week. And so is Josh McCown in this passing game going to be able to take advantage of maybe a little bit of problems with the Miami pass defense? I'm not sure he can. They did stop the run last week, and if they can't get Matt Forte going here, the New York Jets, it could be trouble for them in this spot. But I do think in the first half, they have a chance maybe to catch Miami. Miami did come back to South Beach following that game against LA. So they traveled back to Miami, practiced there this week, then made the flight to East Rutherford for this game at MetLife Stadium. So it's a little bit of a challenging, awkward travel spots situation here for Miami. And I think the Jets could take advantage, but specifically in the first half. I still don't trust them to cover the full game. Lean to the Jets first half, but it's not going to be a game I'd probably get actively involved in.
Fuck! I looked up. I thought the Angels scored, but all right. I said 1-1. All right. Interesting. We got some line movement here. The Titans were 3-point favorites. I didn't get out of it. Yeah, it's 1-1. All right, so they get out of the inning. 1-1 after 3. Sorry for the cue. After fucking 2. I can't read. Fuck. I can't. I think I might need the laser surgery. I got to move the TV closer to me. I'm going to give up giving updates in this baseball game. All right. Every time I look up, I'm like, what just happened? What? I'll just give you scores in between innings. But I'll tell you, the Seahawks were getting 3 points against the Titans, and the Seahawks offenses look terrible this year. But I have 1 point to make about this football game. Pete Carroll versus Mike Mularkey. Who do you want? Who do you want? You're giving me 2.5, 3 points with Pete Carroll against Coach Mularkey? If I lose, I lose, but I'll take it.
I badly want to back Tennessee here in this game, but it seems like a one-way freight train in terms of the line movement in this game. Everybody has pushed Tennessee up and up and up and up. They're now pretty much solid 3. Actually, there's still a couple 2.5s sitting out there, but it's now moving closer to 3 as we speak. If it gets to 3, that's not going to be a number I look to lay with Tennessee. I lean heavy on the Titans, but I still don't know if I'll pull the trigger. I will say this: I don't trust Seattle's offense right now. I really don't. It is in a state of complete and utter disarray right now. The George Fant injury at left tackle in the preseason has not been adequately addressed. The replacement has been abysmal for the Seattle Seahawks on that left tackle spot. Russell Wilson still not getting the time. They've got very little ground game. Now, Tennessee's defense, to me, I thought was improved coming into this season, but against a good offense, they got torched by Oakland. Against a bad offense in Jacksonville, they were much better. What Tennessee defense are we going to see in this game? If we see the Jacksonville performance, they win and cover. If we see the Oakland performance, it's going to give a chance for Seattle to win and cover this game. There's no way I take Seattle, none, 0, in this football game. It's Tennessee or pass for me, but I'm probably going to pass when it's all said and done.
No, I'm going to step up with the Seattle Seahawks here. I'm not buying what the Tennessee Titans are selling. There's no way in fucking hell I would lay points with Mike Mularkey against Pete Carroll. Like, that's just
the coaching point. The coaching point's valid. There's no question.
Look, so Tennessee gets their ass handed to them against the Raiders, and they beat Jacksonville, and now suddenly, Tennessee's good again. Tennessee's back again. Like, I just don't buy into this. And like I said, I'll take my chances. I can't disagree. Seattle's offensive line has been terrible. Seattle's offense has really struggled. But I'm not going to get in front of Pete Carroll. 13-2 against the spread. Last 17 games is a dog off of a win. Russell Wilson, 13-3-1 in his career as an underdog in the National Football League, including he did lose in Week 1 as an underdog. Here's some numbers for Tennessee: 4-17 straight up, 3-18 against the spread in games following a straight up win. There's so many numbers against Tennessee. I just think Tennessee are one of these trendy, overrated football teams. I fell for it in Week 1. Not so much. I just thought the Raiders would lose the season opener. But I'm not buying into Tennessee. I think Mularkey's a bad coach. I think Mariota can beat bad teams, but I think Seattle's defense is going to do enough. And finally, Russell Wilson and company will step up and make enough plays to get it done here. Give me the Seattle Seahawks.
And Seattle is 18-6-1 against the spread last 25 as an underdog as well. And most of those have probably come with Pete Carroll and this regime as in here in Seattle. So yeah, it gives you a pause for thought, especially now that it's up to 3. I could have seen Tennessee at a +1, pick them even -1, but it's getting up there now 3. They're going to have to get to the point now. They're going to have to win by a little bit of a margin to cover this number. We'll see if Tennessee's come that far here, because I had a lot of high expectations coming into the season. And even though I cashed in, Gabe, with Tennessee last week against Jacksonville, it was no sweat. I got to see it against a better foe. I know Seattle's got offensive woes, but you're not going to tell me Seattle's not a better foe than Jacksonville. This is going to go a long way to seeing what the Titans are all about.
Yeah, and I'd be very careful. I see people in the chat saying, the Seahawks are terrible, they're done, they're trending down. The Seahawks do this every fucking year. We hear this shit about the Seahawks every year. They struggle out of the gate, and they crank it up as the season goes on. This year will be no different. Seattle's schedule is incredibly easy. All right. So the Green Bay game is like their toughest road game, essentially. So they lost that game. They got it done against San Francisco. Game for them, though. The thing is with Seattle, their division is terrible. So either way, even if they suck, they're still going to end up winning the division unless Arizona finds a way to get it done without David Johnson, which I don't think they're going to be able to do. So Seattle's going to win that division by default. Like I said, Seattle have a very, very easy schedule as the season progresses. So Seattle will rack up the wins. This is a tougher game for them here. I'm not saying, it doesn't, it's not in my top 5. It's not my top 5 picks, but I do like the Seattle Seahawks here. I don't trust the Titans at all.
I wish you luck, because if I bet it, it's Tennessee.
All right. Here's another one, too, that I would warn people against taking the home team. Seems too obvious. A lot of people are going to jump on it, and it's going to be the Green Bay Packers against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Packers have a tendency to play down to the level of competition that they play. And truth be told, the Bengals aren't a horrible football team. The Bengals just had nothing go their way, and they have their quarterback turn the fucking ball over every fucking 2 times he snaps it. If Andy Dalton cannot piss on his fucking shoes when he's in the stall here, when he's taking a leak, I think the Bengals can hang around in this football game. They've had an extended period in break and an extended rest. And, the Green Bay Packers, short week, played on Sunday night, got really beat up in that football game too. Jordy Nelson, I don't know if Jordy Nelson's going to play. And Aaron Rodgers in that offense isn't the same without Jordy Nelson. Randall Cobb is a tough fucker. He'll probably play, but he's banged up. They're beat up in the secondary now. They're beat up on their offensive line now. I think Green Bay's going to have their hands full just to win this game outright, let alone cover the number. I hope a lot of people take the Packers in survivor pools because I won't do it, and I think the Bengals might pull an upset off here. It takes a leap of faith to trust Andy Dalton at this point in time, but when you're betting football in the NFL, you're not betting on what happened last week. You're betting on what's going to happen this week. So what happened in the past is irrelevant to me. I wouldn't trust the Packers here. I'm warning people. Be careful if you're taking the Packers in this game and want to lay the points.
Just to take a trip down memory lane, it was no more than 10 or 11 days ago that Morency was throwing a Cincinnati Bengals jersey into a garbage can on the set of Game Time Decisions, ranting about how he will never bet Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati Bengals again. Fast forward to Wednesday, September 20th, 11:06 p.m.
No, they're favorites, class. It's all about a different spot. It's a different spot. I'm not even telling people. I didn't say I'm taking the Bengals. I just said be very, very careful. If you're taking the Packers, it's no lock. Like, it's not going to be a blowout. I guarantee you.
I believe it or not, and I've said that despite the fact that I actually agree with you here. I'll tell you why. And by the way, before I get into why I'm leaning Cincinnati here as well, what is this organization's thinking here in the decision to fire Ken Zampese, the offensive coordinator? Not just to do that now, but let's replace him with Bill Lazor, the quarterback coach. Oh, the quarterback coach. What does the quarterback coach do? What are his responsibilities? It's to make the quarterback better. Well, guess what? He's been the quarterback coach of the quarterback that has been by far the worst player on the Cincinnati Bengals in the first 2 games of this season. Does that sound worthy of a promotion to you? To offensive coordinator? Like, really? Does that sound like a promotion? That's like saying to me, I'm 0-10. My last 10 picks, we're going to make you lead handicapper at Sports Memo. The lead handicapper for an 0-10 run. That Bill Lazor is getting this promotion for doing absolutely nothing through 2 games and preseason, whatever, this season, making Andy Dalton the better quarterback. Yet here he is stepping in to the offensive coordinator's role. It's really funny how some of these decisions get made, especially involving a franchise like the Cincinnati Bengals.
The players are running the asylum, right? I mean, they're all freaking out. AJ Green was fucking freaking out that he wasn't getting the ball enough. Marvin Lewis trying to save his job, so he tried to avoid a player mutiny. Basically, the Bengal players didn't like Ken Zampese, and you can't fire coaches because the players don't like them. But shit was getting ugly, right? So we're not in the room. There. The thing with Bill Lazor is, listen, the guy was a quarterback in college at Cornell. He's been around the league. What was he? Yeah, he's quarterbacks coach for the Washington Redskins under Joe Gibbs. Quarterbacks coach with the Seahawks. So he does have that resume of and he's been an offensive coordinator before. That was what I was looking for. The Miami Dolphins in the past. Yeah, it's a fucked up situation. And, players in Cincinnati now, there's a report that the Bengal players want Kaepernick in there, right? And this is what fucking happens. I'm telling you, that's why they didn't sign Kaepernick in Seattle, because they don't want this shit happening. So the Bengal players want Kaepernick, and Andy Dalton's under pressure. There's no doubt about it. And Dalton, it's got to be tough for Dalton knowing that he's the one that's fucking shit up, because that's the thing with the Bengals. They're not a bad football team, and their defense hasn't played poorly this year. They've battled. They played as hard as they fucking could. They played well against the Ravens in week 1, their defense. They played well, their defense did in week 2 against the Texans. But their offense has been fucking inept. If Andy Dalton could just not fucking fumble and fucking turn the ball over every 2 plays, the Bengals cover this number easily.
And you know what? And as Dave Malinsky says, put something in the drawer. I'm going to put Andy Dalton in the drawer for now, because he's got nothing to do with why I'm leaning to Cincinnati here. It's Cincinnati's defense, which, as you mentioned, has played well through 2 games. Let's be honest, against Houston last week, Houston did nothing in that football game except for one busted play, big-time run by a great, talented, athletic, mobile quarterback in Deshaun Watson last week that led to a Houston touchdown. Really, other than that, the Texans didn't do a whole lot offensively against the Cincinnati Bengals last Thursday night. And Green Bay's offensive line issues, Gabe, they are for real, and they are very concerning. David Bakhtiari, Brian Bulaga, I think you can make a case for the top 2 linemen on this Green Bay team. On that offensive line. They didn't play against Atlanta. The only times Green Bay moved that ball, and of course you were on Betcast with Big Man at the time, you saw it all. The only times Aaron Rodgers and the Packers moved that ball effectively when Aaron Rodgers shifted the pocket, moved out of the pocket on the run and made plays. When he was sitting in the pocket, there was no time to be had for him to throw the football. That offensive line was not good. They didn't exactly run block well for Ty Montgomery by any stretch of the imagination either. And they're going to be up against it, especially if they're depleted again. Keep an eye on the Bakhtiari and Bulaga statuses coming into Sunday. But if neither of those guys return for this game, Cincinnati's defensive front can get after you, can get pressure. They've got guys that can get after the quarterback, and it could make life miserable for Aaron Rodgers, much like with Carolina earlier, Gabe. I don't trust Green Bay to win by margin. I just don't trust the offense right now with cluster injuries on the offensive line. I don't care about the quarterback. I don't care about the running back. I don't care about the receivers they got. Jordy Nelson, of course, out. Let's not forget that again. And it's a situation right now where Green Bay, with offensive line cluster injuries, you can't mask that. You can't put glue and duct tape on an injury-riddled offensive line, put it together and make it work. It's very difficult to do that, especially when more than one player's out on that offensive line. I just don't know if Green Bay's got the points in them to win this game by a double-digit margin.
I see Zach Hempel is back last night. Me and Zach exchanged some words in the chat, but I did not boot him out. And we've got no problems with Zach being back here this evening. So it's all good, Zach. So what's in the past is in the past. All right, but Ben, we'll move on to college here, and then quickly with us CFL. Football tomorrow night, we got South Florida and Temple. This game, I don't know. It's a shitty game too. Fuck, it's disappointing. I don't know. Thursday night football just sucks. I don't know. They used to have better games on Thursday night in college. Like now they have really bad games. And you have the Rams and the 49ers tomorrow night, or you can watch Temple and South Florida. Either one is fucking shit.
Sounds like a thrilling night of football on our horizon here.
Yeah, I guess if we went on bets, it's cool, right? It doesn't matter. You know, you can't. I don't know. You can't make. It's hard to make an argument for Temple. I know Big Man is in Philadelphia. We'll talk about this game with Big Man. Actually, no, it'll be tomorrow night. So we'll get his take. Big Man in the chat now, whatever. But Temple are terrible this year. South Florida got it going last week. And the total 63 points here. Temple can't score. I don't know. I don't see how Temple keep up with South Florida.
I'm in agreement. I'm laying the points if I'm betting this game, and I probably will find a way to put South Florida minus 19 and a half in pocket before the start of this game. Look, Temple's 0-3 against the spread. This has clearly been a team that's dramatically declined in terms of defense, specifically their first 3 games under Jeff Collins. They've struggled. They played one really good offense, or at least one decent offense, and it was Notre Dame, and they ended up piling up 49 points against this Temple team. Quentin Flowers in South Florida, they struggled the first few weeks. No question about that. Against San Jose State, they didn't play very good. Stony Brook, they struggled, but they got things rolling last week against Illinois, and they overcame a shit ton of penalties. All right,
Babano, do the Newman thing. All right. So you like South Florida in this game?
Yes, I do. South Florida or nothing.
Okay, you like South Florida. All right, here's an interesting one. Florida and Kentucky. Kentucky last week were a trendy pick. I didn't take it. I didn't touch that game. They were a trendy pick, and people cashed. Now you have Florida coming off a Hail Mary win against the Volunteers. Going in here, it's a 1.5 point spread in which Kentucky never fucking wins, man. I'm going to look the numbers up here, but like, well, I don't know. I think they've won like once in 40 years type thing. Like, seriously.
Oh, it's like 27
win
in a row. I think it's 27 in a row that Florida's won head-to-head against Kentucky. And now you're in a price range here, Gabe, where you got to win the game, basically, if you're Florida, in order to cover the number. I know there's Kentucky money coming in right now. This is clearly betting against the spot. for Florida here off that incredible win on the last second Hail Mary by Felipe Franks last week to beat Tennessee in the final seconds. It's clearly where the money's coming from, but I don't think Tennessee
30 in a row.
Yeah,
you're at 30 in a row. The biggest streak ever is Notre Dame's beating Navy. Navy, they beat them 43 fucking times in a row. Nebraska beat Kansas 36 times in a row. Oklahoma once beat Kansas State 32 times in a row. Penn State's beaten Temple fucking 31 times in a row. Temple broke the streak in 2015. But yeah, this is the longest streak in SEC history. It's gone from 1987 to 2016. So since 1987 to 2016, 30 straight fucking times Kentucky has lost to Florida.
Well, good luck if you're betting Kentucky, because that's the streak you're going against if you think the Wildcats are going to pull this one out here. I understand the spot stinks for Florida. It's terrible coming off that win, but I do not trust Kentucky in this spot at all. I don't think this team's still all that good. They're going up against a good defense. This is an impossible game for me to bet either way, Gabe. It's a clear pass.
Michigan and Purdue is another popular game. I know Big Man on Campus has been pimping Purdue all week long. It's a dangerous game. Purdue's 3-0 against the point spread. People are making a lot because Michigan didn't blow Cincinnati or Air Force out. I wouldn't make too much of that, actually. It was a letdown game against Cincinnati. Air Force, I knew they weren't going to blow Air Force out. There is a little bit of concern. Listen, Michigan's offense has been in the red zone 10 times this year. They've only produced one touchdown. That is somewhat of a concern, but Purdue's defense isn't great. I think Michigan will be able to start moving the ball on them a little bit here. 10 points is a lot to ask Michigan's offense to lay. I don't scoff at people that are taking Purdue plus the 10 points, but I'd be very, very careful with this one. Michigan's a much better football team. They're on another level than Purdue is. And, the snowball can start rolling downhill real quickly for Purdue if Michigan gets up on them.
I had a small stake on Purdue against Louisville, did not take them against Ohio, stayed out of that game, and I was on them much bigger against Missouri last week. In fact, that was a client card release for me with Purdue. They won outright against Missouri. And because I had them against Louisville, they cashed. Because I had them against Missouri, they cashed. I'm going to go back to the well with Purdue. I probably would say to people that if you've not bet Purdue in any form to this point, this may not be the ideal spot and matchup to do it, to jump on the train when it's already left the station, so to speak, because Purdue is taking a little bit of a step up here. I mean, Ohio was a good win. Missouri on the road just thrashed them, but Missouri's a disaster. Louisville, even that win has some shine off it because of Louisville getting absolutely steamrolled by Clemson last week. I don't think Louisville's as good as anyone thinks. That's a one-man team with Lamar and a defense that's not very good, in my opinion, not mediocre at best as far as I'm concerned, that Louisville defense. Purdue can hang in this game because of Jeff Brom. His preparation skills are great. He gets his quarterback ready. David Blau, the Purdue quarterback's getting better and better each week. Michigan still got red zone issues. That concerns me. They can't punch in touchdowns late. And Purdue's playing tough defense. That psychopath, Nick Holt, the defensive coordinator that Brom brought to Purdue with him from Western Kentucky, he looks like an insane man. But boy, he gets his defenses to play hard, and Purdue's been doing that, even though they've been outmanned. I'm definitely going to be on Purdue, but again, if you haven't been on them to this point in any of their first three games, maybe not wise to jump on them now at this point.
I've been on them the last 2 weeks. I didn't touch that first game. That was free money against the Ohio Bobcats in week 2. And last week, a similar situation against the Missouri team, but I think this is a dangerous spot for them here. Dangerous spot. I think Michigan will beat them by like 17 or so. It's going to be a comeback down to earth reality check for the Purdue Boilermakers.
And what I'm fascinated to see, Gabe, early on,
it's homecoming too. It's homecoming. That's just going to be a distraction with their parents there and all that shit. Michigan beats them down. I think Michigan win by 17. I'll tell you what, even though I'm going to be on Purdue, it wouldn't totally shock me if Michigan wins big. And the thing you're going to want to watch first quarter, and I'm going to be watching because I'm going to be looking to bet Michigan in game if I see this in the first quarter. If I see a tight Purdue team, remember, this is going to be the biggest game for this program in 4 or 5 years because they've stunk all this time. If you see penalties, turnovers, drop passes, fidgety stuff, you're nervous, you're feeling the pressure of a big game like this. Fox Television, Michigan Wolverines walking into West Lafayette. If I see that pressure and that noose start to tighten around Purdue's neck, they're playing tight,
I might be looking for Michigan in game because those nerves are definitely a real
you're
possibility with this kind of team.
You're not very confident in your Purdue pick. You just spent 10 minutes picking up Purdue, and now you're like, well, if they look nervous before the game. So, yeah, you're not very confident in your Purdue pick then.
It's because they've had no kind of pressure or big-time atmosphere in their first three, other than Louisville.
No, I disagree with that. They played they played in Lucas Oil Stadium in front of 78,000 fucking people. The game was sold out. They played against the Heisman Trophy winner, Lamar Jackson, in the first game of the year.
Yep, they did. They had that game.
That's a pretty big game, Babano.
It is, but I don't think Louisville's that good. I still think Michigan, especially defensively, Michigan is a lot better than Louisville. Louisville's not been good to me defensively. This is going to be a challenge for Blau and that offense. Let's see what Brom's got in him. Brom, to me, has been able to scheme and get his offenses to produce against pretty much anyone in the past. If he can do it here against Michigan, boy, that tells you what a great hire they've made. They've already made a great hire. Daryl Hazel was a disgrace to this Purdue program. Brom knows what he's doing. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, Brom's a good coach. He's brought a little spark to them. But at the same point in time, it's sort of like the Rams. It's a big overreaction with Purdue right now. You know, Louisville, like you said, Louisville aren't great. Louisville never should have been 25 fucking point favorites in that game. The Ohio Bobcats are a fucking mediocre MAC team in a shitty conference. The Missouri Tigers are a fucking joke and one of the worst teams in college football.
I will say this about Ohio. They're a very good team from a maybe shitty conference, but they're good in that conference, Ohio, yeah.
They're no, you're right. They're an upper tier MAC team. There's no doubt about it. They're a tier 2 MAC team. You know what I mean? You got your Western Michigan and Forest Northern Illinois. Ohio are always right there, but they never win. They never win a thing. All right, so we'll move on to the CFL here in a minute. But the other one I like in the Big Ten here is live home dog with Iowa. I'm surprised. I can't believe that actually Penn State's favored by 12.5 in this game. They shouldn't be. I mean, Penn State I know they're all hyped, and Penn State have been blowing teams out and stuff, but they've been playing a fucking high school schedule. Now they go on the road. Iowa's a tough place to play. It's always been a tough place to play. That stadium's going to be fucking rocking. And getting double-digit points in this football game is very attractive to me. I don't think the number should be 12.5.
I'm sure you remember what a certain Michigan-Iowa game in Iowa City turned out like on a Saturday night for the Michigan Wolverines. I hate to bring up painful memories, but yeah, Iowa won outright at home against Michigan on a Saturday night spotlight game like this. I do not trust Penn State in this kind of double-digit price range on the road. Not even close to trusting them. Look, they're a great offense, especially with Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley, quarterback, running back combo. They've got weapons to work with at wide receiver. They can throw the ball. They can run it. They're very balanced. But who exactly has Penn State played through 3 games? They played Akron, 52-0. Pittsburgh, 33-14 against Pittsburgh. They got outgained by 30 yards in that game. Penn State got outgained by Pittsburgh in that game, even though they won by 19. They feasted on turnovers by Pittsburgh and mistakes. A Pittsburgh team that got absolutely clobbered and knocked upside the head by Oklahoma State last week. That's what Penn State got outgained by that Pittsburgh team. And then, of course, they rolled Georgia State at home, 56-0, big deal. Now you're going on the road for the first time this season after feasting on 3 patsies at home to begin the season. And this Iowa team is very good on both lines in the trenches, Gabe. Offensive line's good, defensive line's good. Stanley, the quarterback, I think is better at this stage of the season than certainly I thought he would be. The running game is there. They're going to shorten this game, keep Penn State's offense off the field. And we've seen Kirk Ferentz and that Iowa Magic work on a Saturday night at home before, remembering that Michigan game. This is an inflation based on Penn State crushing a bunch of teams that are mediocre at best. I'd say poor in a lot of cases. I like Iowa. Give me the home dog. I'm with you.
All right, so in the CFL, we've got the Winnipeg Blue Bombers laying 7 against the Red Blacks. Totals 55.5. Ticats and Lions. BC Lions minus 12. Montreal Alouettes getting 6.5 points against the Toronto Argonauts this week in the CFL. And last few weeks, I haven't put as much attention into the CFL as I would like. I don't want to ignore the league. Actually, if I see there's some good spots to bet. I fucked up in week 1. I'm in a CFL fantasy league, and I'm a fucking moron, man. They have a new format on the website, and I hit submit and shit, but I didn't confirm. I didn't look and whatever. I'm a stupid idiot. And so I've been playing from behind. I spotted everybody a fucking week, man. And I kept track because it's weird. I saw like my guys got saved, but it didn't get entered. It's a weird thing. So I only had like 45 points or something like that in week 1. So I've been tracking to see whether I told everyone, listen, I didn't get it in. I got 45 points, but I'm not going to bitch. I didn't get it in, but I'm trying to be a stud and win by spotting everyone a week. And I'm doing fucking good. I'm doing really good in CFL fantasy this year, actually. And I'm tracking these motherfuckers down. I've done good at isolating the games, and I've done well betting in the CFL this year as well. I've gotten into a little bit of a groove. But looking at the board right now, nothing really jumps off the page at me, Babano. But I didn't really follow him much closely last week.
Well, the Ottawa Red Blacks have made, I don't know, I think it's a ridiculous move to dress Drew Tate on Friday night against Winnipeg, even though it's highly unlikely he's going to start. I would still expect to see Ryan Lindley, the San Diego State Aztec QB, in for the Red Blacks against Winnipeg in that game on Friday night. Lindley came in for Tate, who got injured against Montreal last week. Didn't matter. Ottawa still rolled Montreal because that franchise is just falling apart and crumbling right now. The Alouettes are no problem there whatsoever. But now Ryan Lindley's going to have to start on the road, first start against a Winnipeg team off a bye. It's a very good offensive team. Matt Nichols in that offense can flat out put up points. Darvin Adams, great receiving core. Weston Dressler, the whole bit. I think it's going to be a challenge here for Lindley running this offense on the road against a pretty good Winnipeg team that's rested and ready off a bye week. I'd have to lean Winnipeg in this game. I'd lean under the total, actually. 56 is high. I don't know if Lindley and this Ottawa team is going to put up points in bunches here in this game. That's a very, very high total for a guy that was only 7 of 14 for 78 yards, 1 interception, and no touchdown for Lindley last week against Montreal. He's got a lot of work to do to becoming a good CFL quarterback.
Your Hamilton Tiger Cats, for fuck's sakes, last week, that was one of the most frustrating fucking games ever.
Tell me about it. Why do you throw the football from the 1 yard line? Why?
They're idiots.
Why? And you know what? If you're concerned that there's not going to be time left to run another play, there was still not going to be time to run another play, even if you run the ball. 5 seconds, you're not going to get another play off either way. If that's your excuse for throwing the ball there from the 1 yard line, it doesn't cut it with me. Sorry, doesn't.
All right, Cleveland breaks through here. Good stuff.
What inning is it there? 5th inning?
Top of the 4th. It's a pretty slow game. Top of the 4th. Fuck ESPN, man. They're fucking slow with their scoreboard change. I swear in the graphics. Like, Buddy fucking scored. It takes him 30 seconds to get it up. 2-1. Yeah. So you got 2-1 right now, top of the 4th inning. There's 2 outs. The Tribe do have runners on 2nd and 3rd still right now. I'm on the Tribe.
And sometimes in college football on these ESPN games, when it's a touchdown, they put the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 when it counts up touchdown on the wrong team. I've seen that happen so many times. Like, how hard is that? Your one job is to make it touchdown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It goes to the team that actually scored the touchdown. Not that complicated.
People make mistakes, but man, it's like that's why pencils have erasers.
Yeah.
So Hamilton and BC, hard to trust Hamilton in this spot. Then you got Montreal and Toronto. I don't even know what the fuck's going on with the Alouettes anymore. I mean, it's hard to keep up with these.
They suck. They're brutal. They're inept. This organization, top to bottom, is a disgrace. That's what's up.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing at the quarterback position. Is it going to be Drew Willie or I don't know, like? They got to feel bad for Nick Lewis that he's spending his last few years of his career with this fucking train wreck.
And a bunch of morons. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then I don't see a line. There's no line. How come for the Saskatchewan Calgary game?
It's because of Kevin Glenn. He missed last week's game against Hamilton.
I'm seeing on CFL.ca right now on the front page says Kevin Glenn returns.
There we go. So that just came out today then because he was questionable when I read about it yesterday with Bridge potentially in again for a second straight game. But I'll tell you what, people are going to –
Yeah, Bridge getting good, man. I mean, he was too raw. He came in with the Alouettes, he's from Toronto, and he played at South Alabama.
Yep.
Very young kid, played with the Alouettes, and they gave up on him too quickly. He's actually looked pretty good, Bridge. But, I'm seeing here on CFL.ca right now, Saskatchewan Rough Rider quarterback Glenn Dent talks to the media about returning to the Rough Rider lineup after a hand injury. So, yeah, he's officially started. He's come back.
I want to bet Saskatchewan in that game as a home dog. They're going to be a home dog. They've been great at home. Their only loss at home was week 1 against Winnipeg by 3 points in overtime. They've been so good at that new stadium all season. But, boy, I've tried once or twice to fade Calgary this year, and it hasn't worked out for me. Now, the one thing, though, Calgary last road game against Edmonton, they were 6-point favorites. That's the range they're going to be favored in here as well. They didn't cover. They only won by 3. So they're a little bit more vulnerable, Calgary, on the road than they are at McMahon Stadium. They've actually been a better home point spread team this year, Calgary at home, than they've been on the road. I think Saskatchewan's got a shot there. I'd absolutely lay anything less than a touchdown with Toronto. I am totally fading Montreal left and right. Kavis Reed's just a complete disaster for this franchise. He's a GM and coach. He's got the keys to the castle. This personnel roster for the Alouettes has gotten worse, not better, with Kavis Reed there. And he's a coach. He didn't do anything as a coach with Edmonton except drive them into the ditch. Chris Jones had to resurrect that team from the mess that Kavis Reed left behind. He's no good. He's flat out no good. He's GM and coach now. Montreal ain't getting better. Jacques Chapdelaine didn't deserve to be fired that quickly. Not even maybe. It's a disastrous decision, and they're a complete bet against for me right now, Montreal. And they've been non-competitive now in 4 or 5 straight games, blown out in 4 straight games. I think it happens to the mirror against Toronto. Toronto beat Edmonton at home last week. Impressive win for the Boatmen with Mark Trestman.
Yeah, I can't disagree. That the Alouettes have been a train wreck. And the owner of the Alouettes, Robert Wettenhall, is a fan of mine, and he wanted me to be one of the announcers for the team years ago. I should basically fucking send an application in to be the GM, shouldn't I? The guy's a big fan of me. At this point, I couldn't do a worse job, right? At this point.
Then Kavis Reed? Fuck no, you'd do a much better job.
That'd be fucking awesome if I was the GM of the Montreal Alouettes. I don't know what I'd do. How can I save this team? They got problems. The big problem they have is at quarterback.
Yep.
And, and nothing against Darian Durant, but Darian Durant's one of these journeyman guys. He's been around. He's a little older now. He's seen better years. That's the issue. And they've had just quarterback issues, ever since Anthony Calvillo left, right? They had the stability of Anthony Calvillo at the quarterback position. They've been unable to deal with it ever since then. And now Jim Pop's gone. The foundation's totally fucking falling apart there, man. Yeah, it's a fucking train wreck, this franchise. And I'm a fan too.
It is. It's a disaster, and I agree. Darian Durant, and where's the passion and the fire from Durant? I'm not seeing it these last few games. He's already won his Grey Cup, so it's not like he's got a Grey Cup still that he's got to chase. He's already won one with Saskatchewan. But I'm looking at this, the Montreal Alouettes quarterbacks since Anthony Calvillo retired. Tanner Marsh, Josh Nicewander. Remember him, Josh Nicewander? He was terrible. Tanner Marsh was no good. Troy Smith, Rakeem Cato. I mean, you go on down. It's been one pathetic quarterback after another, and now you've got you had Glenn actually briefly. Now you've got Durant after they traded Glenn to Saskatchewan. So it's been a train wreck. There's been no quarterback stability ever since AC's gone. AC's the offensive coordinator, but unfortunately, you can't go on the field and throw the football anymore, and that's their problem.
Ian Cameron, a.k.a. Babano, throwing it down. Great stuff as always, Babano. You going to serenade us on the way out? You have any more karaoke for us?
Yeah, because the Jets and the Giants suck right now, let's do a little Huey Lewis in the news. Remember the heart of rock and roll? Well, we're going to put a little football twist on. All right. New York, losers every single day. The Jets and Giants really suck. How the hell can you have 2 shitty football teams in one city and have them play such bad football? McAdoo and his stupid hairstyle and Eli and his face are really pissing Gabe off. And the Jets are no good either. Todd Bowles sucks, and Tosh McCowan ain't a good QB either, because the heart of the football in New York is not beaten. They are just so pathetic. Oh, I mean it. Yeah, if you think the football's barely breathing from the Jets and the G-Men, the Jets and the G-Men, they ain't breathing. Nah. Woo.
Great stuff, Ben. Although I just heard the pot shot at McAdoo's hair, and I just realized, sort of looking, you sort of have the same fucking hair as him.
Yeah, except I looked a lot better. My face is not punchable.
You both have the same slick back deuce. I don't know. You taking shots at, that's like me saying to Joe Girardi, he's a bald motherfucker.
Like, if you put it that way, yeah. But unfortunately, McAdoo has a punchable face. I don't believe I do. That's
No. But of course you don't, Babano.
It's a nice, smooth baby face there.
You're like Seinfeld. How can anyone hate you, right? How can anyone not love you?
Exactly, yeah. No, they'll hate me if I go 0-6 this weekend. I guarantee you that. Some people will.
Yeah. There's people will turn on you in a hurry, Babano. There's no without a doubt.
Yeah, there's if you have a bad day, you're going to hear about it in this business, and believe me, I have for the last 5 years, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. When you suck, you know about it, and you hear about it.
Hey, settle down, Bobby Brown. I'm not in the mood for busting out. I don't want to be too dictatorish. You're free to your opinion, but one more crack, and we're getting a machine gun out, all right? I'm sorry, man. I can't go to everyone. Dork is not too offensive. You know what I mean? You live with dorks. Somebody calls me a dork, I won't boot them out here either. So.
No, exactly. I'm not even looking at the chat. Focus on the conversation with you. I don't have the chat open when I'm on it. Briefly at the beginning. That was
no, you're still a guy. I appreciate that. You know what? I don't get distracted by it. I'm pretty good. I can multi-purpose. And I just look at the chat for like questions. If someone has a question for you or something like that. And on the way out, if somebody has a game you want to ask that we didn't ask about, we can ask Babano a game.
Yeah, let's
on the way out here.
Yeah, one game. Anybody got any game that we did not talk about? Obviously, I'll mention it. I'm trying to think. I like Cal plus the points against USC. If Brooks is in the chat, I'm not going to make him too happy.
He's going to get mad about that. Yeah,
I was going to say, but you know what?
The one I like actually is Colorado plus 11.5.
Yeah,
Washington, and I like the over. The total's way too low there. Total's 50.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I don't think Washington's really put it together for 60 minutes in any of their games. That Rutgers game was not a great performance by them. Last week against Fresno, I mean, they got up to that big lead. They had the Dante Pettis return touchdown. I understand that, but that's still not a team that's clicked on all cylinders. Going to Boulder's not an easy trip, not an easy game. And Colorado, everybody thinking Colorado's fallen down a little bit without Sefo Liufau. This Montez can play at the quarterback spot. So I don't think that's a terrible position to go with the Bucs.
All right, Babano. So when people ask for random, we got to go random fire on this one, Babano, all right?
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, random. No, just say if someone asks, somebody somebody asks, what kind of hair gel do you use?
Oh, that's a secret recipe.
Oh, come on. What, you got some sort of like, what, you using butter or margarine or something? You're like Jake Jarmel on Seinfeld. You can't tell people where you got your glasses. Babano doesn't want to let you know what kind of hair gel he's using. I'll tell you what. I don't even know hair gel brand names, but my guess is Babano's using the fucking. He's using the Farmer Pre Life brand, like the local pharmacy here in Ontario, Toronto, and in Hamilton. I don't think you have a specific gel, Babano. My guess is you buy the cheap gel, the Selection brand gel. Am I right?
All right, let's see what we got here. There we go. Stronghold. Mitch, reformer, stronghold from my hairdresser that gives me this every time I'm out without.
That's some real stuff. Yeah, you're spending real money on that.
Exactly. That's texturizer. It's a texturizer too. It keeps the hair, nice and not only that keeps the color in shape.
That's how you have that like Kerry Fraser fucking helmet lid thing going.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's good. It's my hairdresser does a phenomenal job, immaculate job with the hair. So that's important to me, as you can tell.
You had a hairdresser.
Yeah, yeah.
Mitch for men. Yeah. All right, is there anything else? Or that's the only one?
Yeah, that's it. No, that's the only one I use. Yeah. Any games? What do we got here from the chat?
If people want to know my hair product, it's fucking liquid dish fucking detergent.
It's Mr. Clean. Yeah.
Yeah, no, not Mr. Clean. Liquid dish. Like, I use that for everything now. I've realized, I don't need to buy different types of soaps. I just use the liquid dishwasher shit. It's good for laundry. It's good in the shower. It's good to shave with. Good to wash your dishes. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Good stuff. We all got to use something. The product is the spice of life here.
I just like the fact that Babano says he's got a hairdresser. Fuck, I know. It's pretty upscale, Babano.
What, you think I go to a barber?
Yeah, I was going to say barber. Yeah, barber. Like Big Man. He goes to the black barber shop.
Oh, yeah? No, that's good. Barbers are good.
Yeah, you should go in Hamilton, find where, the guys go and get some cool shit done in your hair there. All right, so somebody asked about the Falcons and the Lions. I like the Atlanta Falcons in that football game. I like the Atlanta Falcons in there. Alabama and Vandy. This one's interesting. Vanderbilt, they stepped up. They sold out their stadium. They beat Kansas State. But now it's a different test here. That's a tough one, Babano.
I'm going
to Bama and Vanderbilt.
I'm going to be putting pizza money on Vanderbilt here plus the points, but that's as far as it's going to go. I mean, I've seen this before with Alabama, sleepwalk through Colorado State and Fresno State. They don't cover the number in either game, but a spotlight CBS game, Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson there in Nashville doing that Alabama-Vanderbilt game, that's going to get Alabama's attention. And as much as I like the direction Vanderbilt's going in, Derek Mason's doing a good job, the quarterback's improving, Shermer, that defense is good. Alabama, I've tried to go against them in these spots before. It hasn't worked. So I lean Vandy, but it's going to be small potatoes bet.
That's the thing with Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt and Michigan are very similar. Michigan and Alabama are sort of similar. They both played cupcake games in the last 2 weeks, Fresno, Colorado State, Cincinnati Air Force, etc. Now they both begin conference play, and it's one of these deals. Alabama really haven't shown us anything to be worthy of laying 18.5, 19 on the road right now. But at the same point in time, they can flick that switch, and they can win by 21. They're not winning by 40. Bama don't win by 40. That's not their style. But they can win by, they can cover this number. It's a dangerous game. And finally in closing, Notre Dame and Michigan State, Babano. This is a primetime game, so we'll be on Sports Rage's Patreon on Saturday night watching this one. Sports Rage's Patreon Saturday night watching Notre Dame and Michigan State. I don't know. To me, I don't think Notre Dame should be 4-point road favorites here.
I am definitely leaning Sparty as well. I mean, I've got to see a little bit more from Notre Dame than what I've seen. You destroyed a Temple team that's not very good. You lost to Georgia, a big step up in class there at home, but Georgia's very good. And then you kind of sleptwalk through Boston College. First of all, you didn't play great in that game. You took advantage of some Boston College mistakes. And second of all, number two, Boston College isn't very good. In fact, they're terrible. And Wake Forest laid waste to Boston College 2 weeks ago. I've got to see what Notre Dame can do on the road here, East Lansing. And Michigan State, for all the talk that they're going to be down this year, they've shown me something. They've been better. I think they've got quarterback play that has been solid to this point in the season. I think that defense is back on track playing better. I don't trust Notre Dame in this price range. I'd certainly lean to Michigan State.
Ian Cameron, a.k.a. Babano. All right, we asked for a couple of games, but we can't hit every game on the way out here. Babano said he liked taking a shot with Cal. I was on Cal last week against Mississippi. We cashed that. I'm a little, the total catches my eye there, 64.5. I think that game can get over the number. I think the USC is going to go up and down the field on Cal.
Let's be honest. One thing I want to point out about Cal, they've given up 22 points per game this season, and they've done that against teams that have averaged 32 points per game this season on offense. This is a Cal defense that's flying way under the radar, but it's really impressed me. And the way they bottled up Shea Patterson and a very good Ole Miss Rebels offense last week was very impressive. I mean, that Ole Miss offense, Gabe, and you saw the game in the second half, they did nothing. They didn't do anything against that Cal defense. It's not going to be easy against Darnold, Carr, and Jones in the backfield. I understand that for USC, but this is USC's first road game. You played Texas at home, you played Stanford at home, and that Stanford win doesn't even look as good after Stanford loses to San Diego State last week. And then, of course, you barely snuck past Western Michigan in your opener. You had 3 home games. Now you got to make your first road trip. Let's see what Darnold and USC can do. I just don't trust them to win by this kind of margin just yet in their very first road game.
Yeah, I can't disagree. And, Babano, I'm looking at, just quickly looking at a couple other games here. I told you guys I like Colorado. I'm sticking by that. We'll talk college football on Friday's show extensively with Big Man on Campus. But I like the Colorado Buffaloes getting the points against Washington. I think that the total's too low there at 50. But a game is sort of flying under the radar. It's not a glamorous game. And I've been more into the NFL this week because I'm in the super contest, etc. So I've sort of started today doing my real college stuff. But a game I just sort of noticed right now is Wyoming and Hawaii, Babano. And I see that Wyoming are laying an even 6 points against Hawaii. And, it's funny. People we're really, really high on Josh Hill and Wyoming coming into the year. And, this team, Josh Allen, excuse me. I was thinking of Ken Hill, TCU. Josh Allen. People were high on Josh Allen, and they lost to Iowa in the first week. And then they got smoked by the Ducks. So it looks like it's like a party. People have left. You know what I mean? It's like Mr. Burns when he ran for governor and he spit out the 3-eyed fish. Everyone ran out. Everyone's run out. They left the building. They've left Iowa alone. They've left Wyoming alone right now. I think Wyoming are in a good spot here where they can finally take some frustrations out. They're not playing Iowa. They're not playing against they're not playing against the Oregon Ducks. They're playing Hawaii. There'll be points in this football game. There'll be points in this game. Total's 57.5. I'll lay the 6 points with Wyoming, and I'll go over the number. It's, Hawaii don't travel well. We know this. But this is an awkward spot for Hawaii to go to just geographically. It's fucking far. I've been there. I've actually been to Laramie before. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere, Babano. There's a bunch of dudes that pick up trucks and shotguns and shit. And, it really is Looks like, it's like ranchers and shit up there. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere. You got the altitude up there. Not a good situation for Hawaii to be playing in up there on a Saturday night.
I am on Hawaii plus 7.5. I got it earlier in the week. I don't like it below a touchdown, though. And I really, at the 6.5, I do not like it.
See, that's the thing, no, but I don't understand. Like, coppers say that. You guys say that shit. So what, you really like it, but so if you were so confident in the pick, you don't like it because there's a half-point difference?
Well, it's just,
you know what I mean? So if you think of teams, you really like it, that fragile of a pick, like, it always bothers me that, not just you, I'm not calling you out, but, I liked it at 8, but not at 8.5. Like, there's no fucking difference. So what, you're that worried that it's going to be that? If you think it's going to be that, if you're not worried about the game, then you can't love the other side of the game. It's a handicapper thing. All these coppers say that. I would like it at 4.5, but I don't like it at 3.5. So, so what? You're that much of a genius that it's going to land on that one fucking point? And then if it's going to land on that one point, then I guess it's not such a great fucking bet if your margin of victory is that thin.
And it's because, and the reason I say that is because I would still bet it at 6.5 personally, but I'm talking about from releasing the play for clients below a key number. It's hard for me to do that when it's moved like that. But I will say this about Wyoming, and I know you'd like them here in this game. The one thing Wyoming's got going for them in this game here is the fact that they've played some pretty tough competition. Iowa on the road's not an easy start to the season, especially when it was a noon Eastern game. 24-3 they lose. The Oregon game, of course, 49-13. They got crushed in that game. Not good at all. That's a concern. I think Josh Hill's been a mess so far, but now they step down. They're in Mountain West play here again. Hawaii, a team that they could be able to handle, but I like Hawaii. I've been a believer in Hawaii from the beginning. I cashed with them against UMass. They won that game on the road. They finally showed they could win a game on the mainland. UCLA was ugly, no question about that. I mean, they got run out in that game, but they actually outgained the Bruins, Morency, in that game, despite the 56-23 loss. They outgained UCLA by 10 points, or 10 yards, rather. Outgained UCLA by 10 yards. Turnovers did Hawaii in. They had a bunch of them. And UCLA feasted and ran Hawaii out off those turnovers. I'm a Hawaii believer. I was in the season that they were an improved team, and I'm certainly going to look to them here plus the points. But if Wyoming takes the step down in class the right way and puts their foot on the pedal, they could win. But I'm a Hawaii believer, and I'm on them here.
Ian Cameron, a.k.a. Babano. We got a 2-2 baseball game. The Angels just hit a home run. Son of a bitch.
You'll be sweating that one out right till the end, I can tell.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't look like Cleveland's running away with this one or anything like that. All right, you're a class act, Babano. We'll see you on the Fantasy Sports Network on Friday with me and Cam. You can check out Ian Cameron tomorrow and the Sports Memo crew. It's always a pleasure, Babano. We'll see you in the chat maybe later tonight or tomorrow, and we'll see you on TV on Friday. Absolutely. I'm telling you, tune in on Friday. Morency Unfiltered, Cam Stewart, Gabe, and I. It's going to be more football talk, more Ian karaoke. How can you miss that? And Gabe, every Wednesday night on you here has been fun. Fun with a capital F. It's been awesome. Good luck to you. Good luck to all our viewers this weekend. Good luck with the football. We'll talk to you next week. Great stuff, Babano. You're a class act, buddy. Thanks for taking the time to be with us. You look at that Babano do, man. It's like Kerry Fraser. Yeah, I get so mad about that, though, when I hear people. Oh, and I get it. I know there's key numbers and shit, but I don't really believe in key numbers for college that much, to be honest with you. College is fucked up, right? Like, it's like the CFL. There's not really key numbers in the CFL. At college, kids miss extra points. Teams go for 2 and don't get it often. There's weird shit in college. They don't really kick a lot of field goals in college either. So scores don't go in the same sort of block, the simple blocks of NFL games do in college. But yeah, it's always, people are always like that. Oh, I like it like this, but I don't like it like that. So in other words, you're betting on a game, you think it's that worrisome, that it's going to land on that half point, I like to bet on games where I think there's a wide margin in between my spread and what's going to happen. I don't want to, is that back-to-back home runs? No, off the wall. Fucking Tomlin's getting lit up right now. He's getting hit hard, All right, speaking of getting lit up, it's time to take a break. It's our first break of the evening. We gave you an hour and 49 minutes of consecutive sports and football bet talk, and I'm sure some motherfucking jackass will come in. When I come back on the other side of the break, if I tell some sort of story, I want to hear about sports talk. I want to hear about the picks. Settle down, Bobby Brown. Fuck, man. You fucking, what's your deal, Bobby Brown, all right? Don't be a fucking chat hog. All right, we'll take a break. Nice to get these fucking earphones out of my ears, I got to tell you. Now, we haven't busted the gun out yet tonight. What are you talking about, Bobby Brown? I'm not in the mood, Bobby Brown, but what are you talking about? You're the one that called Babano a dork. I told you, stop, don't call our guests names. And now you're complaining about somebody else. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And to be honest, I don't care. Just stop fucking texting so much. Let people talk about the games. I don't want to be a dick either. We saw it at Hempel before. Was talking about the super contest and being 2-4. There's only 5 games in the super contest. Hey, Brian Sawyer, welcome aboard, Brian. All right, we're taking our first break of the evening, and that's it. If there's still trouble when I return, we're getting the fucking machine gun out. Hey, we're going to, with the guns are on standby as always. Like I said, I don't want to turn this show into me yelling at everyone every night, right? But if somebody upsets me naturally, I will end up snapping. Nobody's really upset me. There hasn't been anything offensive in the chat. Like whatever. Somebody to say something, you guys are free. There hasn't been anything offensive, but yeah, enough Bobby Brown of the whining and shit. Tom Marino ain't getting kicked out. Tom Marino ain't getting kicked out. He's here every fucking night. And, So anyways, everyone fucking go smoke a bong, do whatever the fuck it is, have a shot, walk the dog, take a fucking leak, do whatever it is you're going to do. And we'll be back on the other side, and we'll talk some more football. Fucking Tomlin getting hit here. We'll keep our eye on this. Arizona's up 7-6 on San Diego in a wild baseball game, top of the 7th inning. hand up to the sky, and I reach for your world. These strings and roses are black and frozen. With time they fade, losing glory, the end of the story, finished crusade. I'm tripping but running, I'm drowning but swimming. My heart won't stop beating. I can't keep surviving. I'm falling but flying, I'm living but dying. I feel that surround me. I can't keep surviving. I reach for the heaven as I fall. Will you reach for my hand? The final hour, the falling tower with ancient fall. Isolated, I always waited for reckoning cold. I'm tripping but running, I'm drowning but swimming. My heart won't stop beating. I can't keep surviving. I'm falling but flying, I'm living but dying. I feel that surround me. I can't keep surviving. I lift my hands up to the sky, and I reach for your world. Out of space and the world that I cannot touch, looking down to the light that I love so much. In my core, I am nothing but a satellite, constant battle from the sky to remain in the light. Static calling and desire to be for the sky. Got a plan, still had hope with no question why. Through my soul, I know it's a epiphany. I'm closer to the stars now in my reality. All right, level 3 begins the Wicked Wednesday. I am Gabe Morency, the late night anger management class. 2-2 in the baseball game. Indians, Angels. Top of the 6th inning right now. We'll keep our eye on this evening while we're still here. I mentioned the UFC off the top of the program here tonight, and It is the UFC. It's Friday night, so we'll be on live Friday night here during the UFC. It'll be pretty cool. We'll track the fights. We'll give you some picks. So it's not the best card, but there's a couple of spots I see actually, and I'm going to be attacking the totals on this UFC card. UFC Fight Night 117. I believe the prelim started at 8 o'clock on the Fight Network, actually. And main card is at 10 o'clock. So it should be free for everybody. Everybody should get this this card. OSP versus Yushin Okami is the main event. Not the best main event. Not the best main event. Yet I'll tell you right now, I don't trust OSP. I like OSP. He's a nice guy. I've had him on my show a lot over the years. I know OSP. He's a nice guy. He's a good fighter, but he's just a journeyman guy. And Yushin Okami's an old beat-up guy that used to be in the UFC, not in the UFC anymore, coming back. They made him the main event because it's in Japan. Yeah, I just don't trust OSP. The total's only 1.5 in this fight. I'm surprised. It's a 5-round fight, too. It's 1.5. It's either a really boring fight and OSP wins, or OSP just knocks him the fuck out pretty quickly. I think we can go. I'm going to take a chance. I think Yushin Okami can give us a round and a half here. I think he can give us a round and a half. That's all we're asking. Fuck. It's like fucking Homer Simpson versus Dredrick Tatum. All we're asking is for 2 stinking rounds, Mo. All we're asking is for fucking 1 stinking round, 1.5 stinking rounds. I see my main man, Andy, who knows his MMA in Montreal. Andy's talking about Saki. Yeah, we'll get to Saki in a second. OSP, Okami's the main event. Like I said, I don't trust Okami laying -500 against anybody. The thing with OSP is, the fights that he's lost to good fighters. So that's the deal. Like, he's not a bum or anything like that. He's a good fighter. OSP was actually a football player with the Tennessee Volunteers before he got into MMA. And he's gotten better. He used to just sort of be an athlete. He's turning into a mixed martial artist. He's got, he can submit you and stuff. If you look at OSP, he lost 3 fights in a row. There was no shame in losing to John Jones on short notice. Then he lost to Manawa. No shame in the Manawa loss. Manawa's a tough dude. The Ozdemir fight that he lost, he really won. All right? He really won that fight. He's not the most aggressive fighter, though, OSP. Yeah, like he won via submission in his last fight against DeLima, but DeLima's not very good. I think Okami can give us a round and a half here. I'm not touching a side. I'm going with the total. The co-main event is really good, actually. That's a woman's fight between Claudia Gadelha and Jessica Andrade. 2 fucking tough-ass fucking Brazilian chicks, man. Like, they're both really fucking tough. Like, you're good. Like, Claudia Gadelha in her last fight beat Carolina Kowalkiewicz, who's a fucking good fighter. Like, there's a lot of shitty women fighters. These aren't 2 shitty women fighters. I think the number's a little bit too high. The Gadelha's favored, but I get it. Claudia Gadelha's only lost twice in her life, and she's lost 2 times to Joanna and Jacek. And both times it was fucking close. Like, she's not far off from being the best in the world, this chick. This is another one. The total is 2.5 in this fight, and I think we go the distance here. I think we go the distance. Both these chicks are fucking so good. Claudia Gadelha could fucking submit her. Jessica Andrade is a badass, too. It's going to be a fun fight. I like the women. I don't have a problem with the women fights. The thing is with the women fights, the elite women fights are good. The elite women fights are good, and the crap women fights are crap. They're bad. The low-tier women's fights are fucking bad. But the high-tier women's fights are really good. The women are very mean-spirited. They're good. Like, they're very violent fights. I think the number's too high, but once again, What, audio problems? Our audio should be fine. Once again, like I said, I don't, both the favorites in the main event and the co-main event, I think they're both going to win, but they're both kind of overpriced in my opinion. But I like the totals. All right. I'm pretty good with my MMA totals. And if you guys don't know, I've been, I've done MMA for years. All right. I've hosted MMA shows. I've been betting on MMA for 15, years. I'm attacking this card with the totals. OSP, Okami, over 1.5, minus 175. Claudia Gadella, Jessica Andrade, over 2.5, minus 175. Then we got Dong Young Kim and Gomi. Now it's confusing. There's two Dong Young Kims in the UFC. There's the Dong Young Kim, and then there's this Dong Young Kim. But this Dong Young Kim's like 10 years younger than Gomi. Gomi's plus 280, Kim's minus 355. I broke this shit down with my main man Lou from Gamblu today on the Fantasy Sports Network, and we looked at it. You can't make an argument for Gomi. You just can't make an argument for Gomi. Like, Gomi should retire, but he's trying to get to 50 wins, and I think maybe he'd retire if he wins a fucking fight. But Gomi not only is losing, he's getting fucking killed. He's 38 years old. The guy's been fighting since fucking 1998, all right? This is his 49th fight, so he's 35-13. He's lost 4 fights in a row, and he's lost 5 of his last 6 fights. Now, he's fought in tough guys, so it's no shame in losing to the guys he's losing to, but it's the fashion that he's losing to them. And he's losing to guys, he's getting knocked the fuck out by guys that aren't even knockout artists. All right, you got knocked out by Miles Jury. Miles Jury's a young dude who's a stud. So that's not a surprise. Joe Lozon. Joe Lozon is a fucking submission artist. Joe Lozon will get into wars with you and shit, but he's very rudimentary with his striking. He's not a striking like KO artist. He fucking KO'd. Put it this way. Gomi's been knocked out in 4 consecutive fucking fights. He got submitted in his last fight. But he's lost 4 straight fights in the first fucking round. Like, you can say, okay, yeah, he lost 2 fights in the first round, and because of this and because of that. No, he's fucking lost. He lost like in 1 minute and 32 seconds to Miles Jury. He fought Joe Lozon. He lost in 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Then he fought Jim Miller, Jim Miller is old and not a fucking TKO guy either. Jim Miller knocked him the fuck out in the first round in 2 minutes and 18 seconds. John fucking Tuck. All right, so now the UFC felt bad for him. They're like, well, fuck, man. He can't beat the young guy like Jury. Lozon and Miller are both vets, and they both fucking killed him. All right, let's give him John Tuck. So he beats John Tuck. He's supposed to beat John Tuck. He gets fucking choked out by John Tuck in the first fucking round in 1 minute and 12 seconds in. I wanted to take over 1.5 rounds in this fight, plus 150. But I can't fucking do it because this guy Gomi, he just loses all the time. Like, immediately. Now, he's fighting this Dong Young Kim kid. So Gomi's 38 years old. This Kim guy's 29. Kim's coming off a win against Brandon O'Reilly. He did lose 2 fights before that in the UFC. So, like I said, they are desperately trying to fucking save Gomi here. They're like, all right, dude, you can't beat any big name guys. You can't beat John Tuck. Now we're going to give you a fucking South Korean kid. And I think the South Korean's probably going to beat him. So we're going to pass on the fight. I don't think so, D-Rock. I don't think he's got a puncher's chance. All right, the next fight's interesting, and our boy Andy brought this one up. Gokhan Saki versus Henrique da Silva. Gokhan Saki is a Glory light heavyweight champion. The Turkish Tyson. And his nickname is, he's named after Mike Tyson. His nickname is the Turkish Tyson. He once beat Alistair Overeem with one hand. He only had his left hand, and he once beat Alistair Overeem in a kickboxing match. So the thing with Gokhan Saki is he's 0-1 in MMA. He's only fought in mixed martial arts once, and that was in 2004. Now, Tyler Warman at the Fight Network brought this up to me today. And it was a good point. He goes, he said Saki's a badass and shit, and he's the Turkish Tyson, and he fucking knocks people the fuck out in glory, and he's really a killer and shit. They said, like, his fucking, watch a video of this guy, and his fucking striking, man. He's fucking lightning fast, powerful. He's from Turkey, the guy. Sounds Asian, but he's actually Turkish. The Turkish Tyson, they call him. But he's popular in Japan and shit. They like kickboxing out there, right? So he's a star in Europe. He's a star in Asia and stuff, this guy. He's minus 175. Now, they're giving him a fighter in Henrique da Silva here. And like I was going to say, my buddy brought up Warman of the Fight Network. Said it's interesting. He goes, no one would sanction this fight. They wouldn't sanction this fight in North America because of this. Henrique da Silva is like 11-3 in MMA. He's a UFC veteran. And you're fighting against the guy that's 0-0. Like, they wouldn't sanction that. But in Japan, they're going to do it. And there's no danger to Saki here. The guy's a fucking badass. Now, also, they want. Now, we were talking earlier about fixed fights and stuff. This isn't fixed, but the UFC is a lot like the WWE. They want certain guys to win, right? They sort of have like brackets made on their wall in the war room. This guy will beat this guy, and then he'll fight him, and we'll sort of lead it up to this. Like they have, like, when they book a fight, obviously they know who they think is going to win, right? They're like, all right, we'll give him a test. If he can beat this guy, then he'll fight this guy. So they have everything mapped out in the UFC. And they've mapped this out for Saki to win this fight. They want him to win the fight. He's a glory champion. He's popular in Europe. He brings credibility. It's mixed martial arts, so it's a fresh new angle and shit in here, this guy. And he's fucking lethal. Like, he fucks people up, this guy. So, and glory is world-class fighting. Some guys you'd say, oh, he's a jiu-jitsu champion or he's a kickboxing guy. It's like, yeah, okay, he's a kickboxing guy or he's a judo guy from the Olympics from years ago, like Daniel Kelly or whatever. This is different. Glory is a world-class fighting organization. You could take glory guys and drop them in the UFC and they would win. It's not like they're overwhelmed by UFC guys. The only difference is guys in glory aren't used to being taken down. So that's the only thing. So then that's where I'm going with this. They're giving him Henrique da Silva. Da Silva is a guy who doesn't really have a ground game. And Da Silva's got a bad stand-up. Like, Da Silva wants to get into wars and is very hittable. Like, if you look at his defense and you look at Da Silva's striking defense, he gets hit. Okay, like the UFC set this up. Like, they're giving a guy that has no fucking ground game another guy that's very hittable. Now, Gokhan Saki's minus 175 in this fight. I think he wins. I think he wins. And that's the thing. Saki's not coming in this. The guy's been around. He trains. The guy's buddies with Alistair Overeem. He trains with Overeem and shit. Like, it's not like, the guy's not you don't just come into the UFC as a 33-year-old out of the blue unless you're fucking a badass or you're CM Punk. You know what I mean? So, with no experience, I mean. So, the guy's going to be just fine. He's fighting a very hittable and beatable opponent. D-Rock, I think he's going to kick him in the fucking head. The thing with this guy is like, yeah, he's not fighting Brock Lesnar. If he's fighting some fucking, legitimate wrestler, he could have a problem. But Henrique da Silva ain't going to get him down, fuck. Henrique da Silva is just going to get punched in the face or he's going to get kicked in the fucking head. We'll be on live during those fights. And that's all I got on this card. Oh, actually, the other one is on the recommendation of Lou. And I actually agree with this. Formiga's a minus 450 favorite, and Sasaki could be worth a look as the underdog there. I'm going to stay away from the prelims because that's where the shady shit happens. Like, I'm talking about the early fights. I don't even know who the fuck these guys are, and I cover this shit. I cover it less now that I don't host the MMA Meltdown show every week because I don't get paid to watch these shitty fights off the top now. That's the one cool thing. Now I just watch the fights I want to watch. Before, I had to watch every fight because I was on the Fight Network. So, yeah, I won't be paying attention to the Luke Jumo Shinjo Anzai fight or the Chan Mi Jian versus Siri Kondo. Kyung Ji Lim versus fucking Dachi Abe. But I will jump in on Ulka Sasaki at plus 325. Little sprinkle, small play. And then the other ones I'm going to bet. My big bet, I'm going to bet, I'll probably bet $200 or something on Saki. I'll bet, I'll pull the trigger on Saki. I'm going to pass on the Dong Young Kim Gomi fight. Maybe I'll just parlay Dong Young Kim and OSP. But I'm going to go on the over in the chick fight. I'm going to go the over in the main event. We're 2-2, top of the 7th inning right now in this baseball game. Yeah, we'll try to get Mick on Friday. Cleveland get a runner on here. Runner on first base, no out, top of the 7th inning. Yeah, we'll figure Mick out. You figured Mick would be captain video. Mick figured out the video. The only thing is Mick, and I don't fully blame him. He never used Google Hangouts before. And it's kind of tricky. You have to unmute the microphone and stuff. Earlier in the week, I really liked the Chiefs. I still like the Chiefs, but I can see the Chiefs winning by 3. We'll get Mick on. Either the radio show Friday night on the Fantasy Sports Network, or we'll get him here. I'll give him the option. I'll say, what do you want to do, Mick? You want to do a fucking phone or, I think it'd be fun to do the video with Mick. You guys will like him. He's a funny guy. That could be a home run. Boom. 2-run shot, Cleveland Indians. Who is that, Lindor? Yeah. 4-2 Cleveland Indians. What's going on, Asho George? Yeah, I got a lot of bookie stories, but no, last night I was just talking about that one bookie story. Well, no bookie stories that I'll get into. Yes, I do, D-Rock. I think that game, the Bedlam game against Oklahoma this year is going to decide a spot in the playoff. I think both Oklahoma State and Oklahoma are both too good to ignore. You can't ignore the Big 12 this year. For the record, and I can show you the video. Actually. It was the Thursday night college football started, or the Friday day, whatever, the Hawaii game, the game in Australia. Anyways, before the year started, I fucking did a video on the Fantasy Sports Network with my playoff predictions, and I put Oklahoma State in the playoffs. Yeah, I thought the Indians were great value tonight, Jax Jay, but hey, the game's not over yet, buddy. So let's not count our money. So it looks like we don't have the same trolls attacking giving us a thumbs down. Last night, I see we had like 118 thumbs down or something like that. It's impossible. Fuck. We don't have enough viewers to fucking get that many thumbs down. Motherfucker out there must have just had 1 million motherfucking accounts or something. Yeah, I like the Cowboys too, D-Rock. We think the same. I think the Cowboys. Look, the first 2 weeks of the NFL year, I was like, man, I don't like this game. I'm really like, I was really sort of grinding to come up with 5 picks for the Super Contest. This week, I got games jumping off the screen at me, man. I like the Baltimore Ravens minus the 3.5. I like the Atlanta Falcons minus the 3. I like the Indianapolis Colts plus 1.5. I like the Denver Broncos minus 3. I like the New York Jets plus 6. I love the Saints plus 6. I like the Seattle Seahawks plus 3. I like the Bengals plus 8.5. I like the Chiefs minus the 3 against the Chargers. I love the Raiders, and I love the Cowboys. Now we break it down into the games I like more than the other ones. I don't see how the Redskins are going to beat the Raiders. Think about it. Let's think about the Redskins at home now. 2 years ago, when they had the good year, get their ass handed to them on their home field against the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. Last year, Monday Night Football, opportunity late in the season to nail down a playoff spot. All they got to do is beat the Carolina Panthers. Can't do it. Carolina wasn't even playing well. They weren't playing for anything. They couldn't do it. Last game of the year, they could still have made the playoffs with a win. They needed shit to go their way. And I think the shit ended up going their way, actually. And then they couldn't beat the New York Giants. Kirk Cousins melted down. Babano, I'll give credit to Babano because I like the Redskins in week 1 against the Eagles. And he warned me about all this, and he brought up all that. Fast forward to this year on their home field. Philadelphia Eagles go in there and beat them. Now, that game was a close game, and it was closer than the final score would indicate. But nevertheless, he still lost. And now this is what Washington does. They're not terrible. They're an 8-8 caliber football team. But this is what Washington will do. All right, they won. This is a game. They're going back home. It's a big game for them. Exactly. It's a big game for them. It's also a big game for the Raiders. People are talking about a Raider look ahead. There ain't no Raider look ahead. It's a fucking primetime national television game. Secondly, they're getting it's a primetime game, which means it's at nighttime. So the Raiders don't have to play early on their body clock. They're going to be there since Friday. Just like Ifer Elway checked in, Bronco fan. What up, Ifer Elway? Talking about the Broncos getting into Buffalo on Friday. So they'll be adjusted to the body clock for the early game. But I like the Raiders a lot. And there's a few games that I liked a lot earlier in the week that I still like, but I'm a little worried about. And those 2 games I'm a little bit concerned about are the Chiefs and the Broncos. And nothing with the Raiders is, it's no letdown for the Raiders because everyone's 2-0 in this division besides the Chargers. So they all know they need to win games every week anyways, as is. My buddy Cam Stewart on the radio show tonight brought it up to me, and he said, I can see the Broncos winning, but winning 21-20 or something. They'll win on a last-second field goal. And I could totally, when he said that, I was thinking the same thing. Like, fuck, I could see the Broncos winning, and same thing with the Chargers. The Chargers lose all the time. But they always play in close games. It's almost automatic. Just fucking tease the Chargers, all right? The Chargers are the king tease team. I'm almost going to do it, fuck. I think the Chiefs will win. I'll tease the Chargers to +10, and I'll tease the Chargers to the over the Raiders game and the Raiders or something. But the games that I really like, if you tell me, all right, I just told you 8 games that I like, let's narrow it down a little bit. I'm pulling the trigger on the Dallas Cowboys. I don't believe in Arizona without David Johnson now. I like the fact the Cowboys are coming off a win, an extended break. They get to play Monday night, prime time. Cowboys are going to have a shitload of fans in Arizona. I think Cowboys bounce back. Love the Raiders. Love the Atlanta Falcons. Look, the Atlanta Falcons are 2-0. The Detroit Lions are 2-0. One of these teams is going to be 3-0, and it won't be the Detroit Lions. I'm not going to say I'm not taking anything away from the Lions, but the Lions are a lot like the Ravens. They played against the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona were beating them. They were up by 10, and David Johnson broke his fucking finger in his hand or whatever the fuck happened, or the elbow, whatever his injury was. David Johnson got hurt, and of course, the wheels fell off. David Johnson is the most important player on any team in the NFL to any team. The Patriots could lose Tom Brady, and Garoppolo isn't terrible. The Pittsburgh Steelers could play without Le'Veon Bell. They have fucking a shitload of players. The Arizona Cardinals are built around David Johnson. Like, literally, from a percentage standpoint, he's literally like 72% of their fucking offense, guys. Like, he is their offense. He catches the ball, he runs the ball. He is the Arizona offense. And especially now in this era of Arizona, they don't have great wide receivers now. Like, David Johnson's that team. You take David Johnson off Arizona, that's like taking Russell Westbrook off the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like, I bet on Arizona over 8.5. I'm fucked. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm screwed. And even though I know I'm screwed. Kerwin Williams came in. I figured, all right. And even, I picked up Kerwin Williams in a fantasy league because I'm like, well, Kerwin Williams is now going to get the David Johnson touches. Kerwin Williams ended up with 22 total fucking yards. And they nearly lost to the Colts. Like, they were fucking lucky to beat the Colts. Like, Arizona have a good defense. They got playmakers and shit, but their offense is pedestrian. They're not, without David Johnson, there's no threat. David Johnson, you got to stack the box for David Johnson. And he's so dangerous. You got to stack the box. And also, if you stack the box, then Carson Palmer can throw the ball down the field. And the thing with Johnson is if you stack the box, then they throw that little screen over you, and then David Johnson busts it for a big one. Like, without David Johnson, there's no scare. There's no one to fear really now. Now it's like, all right, let's fucking jam the box. Whatever. You got Larry Fitzgerald in a slot here, and you got John Brown and fucking Nelson. It's not, people aren't going to lose sleep over this. I think the Cowboys beat them. Now, as far as the Falcons are concerned, as I was stating, the Falcons in Arizona, and Arizona played Detroit earlier. Now Detroit playing the Falcons. The Arizona would have won that game if David Johnson didn't get hurt. They were up. They would have won. They would have just handed the ball off to Johnson. They would have won the game. All right? So everything would have been different for the suddenly trendy Detroit Lions. Week 2, the Lions go in and play New York. We see New York's played 2 games. They can't score a fucking touchdown. They couldn't score against Dallas. They couldn't score against Detroit. It's pretty clear that New York are a lot like Cincinnati. They're just fucked. Their offense is out of sorts. They can't figure it out. Odell Beckham's not 100%. So Detroit's weakness is their lack of pass rush, even though they fucking sacked Eli Manning fucking 5 times. Their lack of pass rush and their secondary. Well, they played against an Arizona Cardinal team that was banged up. Carson Palmer looked like shit and didn't have their best player. They played against a Giants team that was out of sync. Now they're playing an Atlanta Falcon team that's getting into sync. Falcons didn't look great against the Bears, but they did enough. Shanahan's not there anymore. I don't know what the Falcons' offense anymore, man. Oh, yeah, because Shanahan was the reason. Funny, the same assholes that were talking about Shanahan, we're talking about Shanahan after Sunday night after fucking Atlanta beat the shit out of Green Bay again. And the thing is, Atlanta won't let up in this game. It's not like, they just beat Green Bay and it's a letdown. They just lost the fucking Super Bowl. We talked about it the other night. They blew a 28-3 lead. These motherfuckers aren't letting up ever again. They didn't go into prevent the other night. They were blitzing fucking Rodgers late in the game. Like, they're on a mission, this team. And another thing is, the Detroit Lions are going to get the Atlanta Falcons' attention. It's not a letdown or a look ahead or anything else in between because they're playing for home field. The Atlanta Falcons are going to look and say, look, this team has a 2-0 record. We got to beat these guys. Otherwise, they're going to have the fucking tiebreaker against us. I like the Atlanta Falcons in this game. All right. I was going to end the show right now, but because I love you guys and you guys are cool, we'll take one last quick break and I'll come back with some closing thoughts and stuff. But support sportsbookreview.com for supporting this show. We appreciate them supporting us. And, if you guys like this show and not just this show, but the other programming that SBR is giving you on YouTube, and, Donnie Rightside, Babano, Big Man on Campus, Ed Fang, Jimmy the Bag, Pistol Pete, everybody. Support them. All they're asking is just bet on the sports books. Click the link on their site so they get credit for it, and it'll keep sportsbookreview.com going, and it'll keep their programming going. Hey, I like the Lions too, Brian. I'm a Bills fan, but I got a soft spot in my heart for the Lions. I just don't think I don't think they're going to win this game. I think the Falcons are a better team. I think the Falcons are going to be interested. So, yeah, we'll take one last quick break, and when we come back, we will be winding things down here. But I appreciate the kind words tonight, guys.
I have to see them too. I just live into my world, far from the pain, the feel. It's not a reach up, start out. Well, not where I'm start out. When I stop to see those eyes, thinking for help. Just need time, put my eyes down. Too tired to change up the sound. To be someone along other I'm gonna try. Not be tonight, I am sad tonight. Sad tonight. I don't have a job to find. I'm far away tonight. I'm so tired tonight. I'm falling asleep when I'm home.
Cleveland's got the bases loaded. It's 5-2, top of the seventh. Tribe could put a crooked number up. That's good. We need it. We can go 2-2 here with our baseball picks tonight and get back to the football grid tomorrow. I fucked up though. I bet on the under, the TFC Montreal Impact MLS game. It was 3.5. It was 3-0, 15 minutes in. TFC tonight played like the worst fucking game they played all year, man. I saw D-Rock asking about prop for tomorrow. Normally they're not out this early, but I'm surprised to see they're actually out right now. I got to do some research tonight with the props. I got to tape my TV show tomorrow earlier. Normally I'm on live at 2 o'clock, but it's the company softball game tomorrow. So I've got to tape the show at 12 o'clock because everyone's going to be at the softball after. Last year I played in the softball game. I played well too last year, but I'm not feeling well recently. I did that fucking NFL Combine thing at a couple of weeks ago at that fantasy football convention I was at. And I injured myself running the fucking 40. Like I said, I haven't felt well the last couple of weeks. But I don't want to be a dick and be that antisocial person or like, oh, you're not going to come. I'm fucking tired. Like, taping shows. Like for everyone else, it's cool. They're all doing their work earlier in the day, taping shows, and they're going to go get drunk and play softball. That's all good for them. Yeah, I got to tape a show, and then I'm live on TSN Radio tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern time. Then I'm live on iHeartRadio and syndicated radio and the Fantasy Sports Network radio tomorrow night at 8 o'clock and the Armed Forces Radio Network and all that stuff. I don't even know what fucking I'm on. They never even tell me. They're like, oh, by the way, yeah, we're on the Armed Forces Radio Network now. I'm like, yeah, thanks for giving me the heads up. So, yeah, and then tomorrow night I'll be back here at 10 o'clock. So if I play softball tomorrow, I'm going to be all tired and beaten down. I might get injured and shit. I'm going to go down there, eat a couple of slices of pizza, smoke a spliff, drink a couple of Coca-Colas, talk to one of the cute chicks that works in my office, and come back home. Fortunately, the field where they're playing softball is close to my house. Yeah, stretch. No, I'm too old, Bobbert. I'm done. I'm tapped out. It's the first time ever, I tell you, like doing that NFL Combine shit was a wake-up call for me. I realized I'm not nearly as in good shape as I thought. Not that I thought I was in good shape, but I didn't think I'd get injured just like fucking jumping and running and shit. But, I pulled some. I swear, I did that 3 weeks ago, man. I did that the day called August 26th, that was. So it's been nearly a month, and I still, I pulled my fucking hamstring or something. Like, I still feel it. I ain't fucking around tomorrow. No softball for me. No softball for me. But speaking of the Fantasy Sports Network, I'm going to get our boy Chris Meany on one of these nights here. This guy knows hockey, fuck. No, so that's it. Angels get out of the inning with the bases loaded, but it's 5-2 for the Tribe. Going into the bottom of the seventh. Yeah, Chris Meany, this kid, he lives for hockey, man. He really knows hockey. I bet hockey, I know hockey, but I can't tell you every fucking player on every line in the NHL. I'd be lying if I did. I could before. I used to be the host of the Montreal Canadiens post-game show. Not the official one. A better one, though, because I wasn't on the rights holder. But, I lived in Montreal. I was on the radio in Montreal for fucking 4 years. 8 years. Well, I've been on the radio in Montreal, but for like 4 years or whatever. And, if you're in Montreal, you better know your hockey. So I basically knew every fucking player because I went to every Canadiens game for fucking 4 years until they took my pass away. See, I used to be I could tell you pretty much every player in the NHL before. Now I couldn't. You could offer me money and I'd be clueless. Another thing in the NHL, there's a shitload of fucking European dudes. Like before, there just used to be the Russian guys, and I knew who the Russian guys were. But nowadays, man, there's a shitload of these fucking European dudes and young dudes. But like, I know hockey trends. I follow the season. I live in Toronto, so same shit. It's hard to avoid the NHL when you live in Toronto, Ontario, okay? Especially at this, it's already all over the place. I was in a restaurant today and they had the TV on, and it was all fucking Leaf shit. I'm like, holy fuck, guys. The season's still a few weeks away, man, but they're ready to go. Yes, it's safe to bet online, Jay Jax. Put it this way, Jax J. Put it this way, Jax J. Any book that's on sportsbookreview.com's website, if you click that banner, it's safe. Sportsbook Review reviews sportsbooks. All right, so we're going to get out of here. We appreciate everybody tuning in here this evening. Jax J, Big Will, Babano, thanks for coming on. Brian Solier, Chris Edge, my main man in San Diego. Ricky Levine, D-Rock, Lebowski. Good to see you, Lebowski. My main man, Lebowski from Patreon. Josh McCarthy. We got a lot of Rageaholics in the house here this evening. Leroy. We got Bennett in here. Thanks, Bennett. Thanks to Drusilla was around earlier. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in here tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow night, 10 o'clock here. Support SBR. Go over, click on those sports books. Watch the videos that SBR puts out tomorrow. Donnie Rightside, Big Man on Campus. Watch me on the Fantasy Sports Network tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And we'll see you here tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I like the 49ers and the under. You want all my props and shit, watch the Fantasy Sports Network at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.